know, we back at it again. Order of Melchizedek. I got the elder Daniel Solomon here with me today.
Shalom, family.
So today we're gonna go over a lesson called One Flesh, getting in on the marriages and basically a lot of people have been taking marriage from their own perspective or from a European perspective and not for our culture and our tradition and how we did, thus says the Lord. So elder gonna get in, throw down his word of God, and everywhere we go to, if I got anything to add on to, I'm gonna add on to it. But we finna get, according to the word of God, what marriage is and how it's supposed to work out.
Absolutely. So first thing we want to do is get the understanding that marriage didn't start here on earth first. So we want to get back to the understanding of marriage in the heavens. So we'll just get started, y'all, because we got a few scriptures we need to hit and go over. It's a lot. It's a whole lot, y'all. And we're bringing all of this from the order of Melchizedek, which we are under right now. And it was at the beginning in the first marriage on earth. So, and it's at the last marriage that's going to be on earth. So we'll cover all of these topics, y'all. This is not a Dr. Phil session.
Not at all.
We're not here to give marriage counseling or coaching on your relationships. What we are here to do is set the record straight concerning the laws of marriage, which includes divorce, separation, joining together again. We're going to cover all of those topics. So we're going to get right to it. So the first thing we need to do is understand the marriage of the heavens. So if you will, bro, read a little bit of that 1 John 5 and 7 for me.
You said 1 John 5 and 7?
Yes, sir.
Again, y'all, this is called One Flesh. All right, 1 John chapter 5, verse 7. For there are three that bear record in heaven, the Father, the Word, and the Holy Ghost. And these three are one. So
we see that one flesh could be multiple entities with the same thought process or the same patterns or government, law, statutes, and judgments, all agreed by all of them, which constitutes marriage and makes it one flesh.
Right.
So, and next, just let's get right to it, man. Ain't no need of beating around the bush. John 17th chapter, start about verse 5. And what we're establishing here is the marriage covenant that was in the heavens before it ever hit the earth.
Book of John, St. John, chapter 17, verse 5. And now, O Father, glorify thou me with thy own self, with thy glory, which I had with thee before the world was.
So we see that he's asking for his glory before the world was, and that matches up with 1 Corinthians 11 when it talks about the order. Right. The Father's the head of Christ, Christ the head of man, man the head of woman. So Christ is asking for that glory back that he had, where the Father was his head on high.
Right.
In a spiritual aspect, in a spiritual realm. Go ahead, bro.
Verse 6. I have manifested thy name unto the men which thou gavest me out of the world. Thine they were, and thou givest them me, and they have kept thy word. Now that they have known that all things whatsoever thou have given me are of thee, for I have given unto them the words which thou gavest me, and they have received them, and have known surely that I came out from thee, and they have believed that thou didst send me.
So he understands that my husbandman sent me to the world, to the Israelites, to get them together so that we could come back into this marriage covenant.
Right.
We done went astray, y'all. It's a lot of things that cause us to go astray, and we're going to get into a few of those things to get those cleared up. Go ahead, continue on, bro.
Verse 9. I pray for them. I pray not for the world.
So we see that the Messiah is praying for those that have accepted the word of the Father. He's not praying for the rest of the world. Right. So contrary to belief of John 3:16, when he so loved the world, he loved those that love the Father and his commandments. Right. Go ahead, bro.
But for them which thou have given me, for they are thine.
Go ahead, read on the 12.
Verse 10. And all mine are thine, and thine are mine, and I am glorified in them. And now I am no more in the world, but these are the world. And I come to thee, Holy Father, keep through thine own name those who thou hast given me, and that they may be one as we are.
That they may be what?
One as we are.
So you see this marriage covenant that's been promoted early on. This was already written in the heavens before Christ ever hit earth, before Adam ever hit earth. It was this decision made on what one flesh constitute. This is not talking or speaking of the Trinity, which the Sunday doctrine teach.
Right.
The Trinity is one individual splitting himself into three parts.
Right.
And then so the Father would leave the throne to become the Holy Spirit, or the Father would leave the throne to become Yahweh Shai on earth.
Right.
No, that ain't what we're pumping here. We're not pumping Trinity. We're pumping the three that bear record that's in one mindset.
The God bodily head.
Absolutely.
And it sound like a household. It sounds just like a household.
Absolutely.
You got the head of the household, you got the wife, you got the children, but everybody move as one.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Verse 12. While I was with them in the world, I kept them in thy name. Those that thou gavest me, I have kept, and none of them is lost, but the son of perdition, that the scripture might be fulfilled.
So the only disciple that was speaking of Judas Iscariot that fell off, but it was prophesied one of the disciples would fall off. A good friend of the Most High. So we want to get right to it, y'all, at the beginning when we talk about the first earthly marriage and what it constituted. Let's get right into it. Some Genesis 1:26.
Get it done.
And y'all, like I'm saying, what we want to present to the audience and to the worldwide family is that we're not trying to dictate how marriage should be. We are giving the laws for marriage. It's two different things. Right. So if you decide that marriage is for you, then these are the rules that apply. Right. Go ahead, bro.
So that's exactly what's going on. There's a lot of people getting married out here and don't know the rules first. So you will see a new couple and everybody shalom, and then you look up and the couple ain't together no more.
Right, because they put the cart before the horse.
Right, most definitely. So we're going to Genesis 1 verse, I'm going to start at verse 26.
Yes, sir.
Genesis 1 verse 26. And God said, let us make man in our image.
So we're talking about the image of one flesh. That's the image we're talking about because it's talking about us. This is Elohim, plural. So, and that's what he's saying. Let us make man to join us in this relationship, in this one body, in this one flesh. Go ahead, bro.
Let me get a preset real quick on that. This is the book. This is in the Apocrypha, y'all. In the Apocrypha, Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 2, and I'm going to start at verse 22. Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 2, verse 22. As for the mysteries of God, they knew them not, neither hoped they for the wages of righteousness, nor discerned a reward for the blameless souls. For God created man to be immortal.
What did he create him to be?
Immortal.
See, so Adam was created to be in the very image of the Most High, and that's with a supernatural body, so to speak, free of corruption of the flesh, with life eternal. Go ahead, bro.
Immortal, and made him to be an image of his own eternity. Nevertheless, through the envy of the devil came death into the world, and they that do hold on his side do find it.
So we see that one was thrown out of the marriage covenant or divorced in the heavens, and that was Lucifer, who we call now the adversary and Hashatan. Right. Was divorced and kicked out, sent out of the house.
Right. And if you look up the actual word image in the Strongs, it is Hebrews 6:754, and it is Zalim, and it means image. Now, when we go to the Strongs, it says the root word meaning to shade or to phantom. It says resemblance, hence a representative figure. A representative figure, vein, shoe. So meaning we look just like him. We have the same soul like them, meaning we live forever. We live eternally.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Verse 26 again. And God said, let us make man in our image after our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over the cattle, and over all the earth, and every creepy thing that creepeth upon the earth.
That's right.
And so God created man in his own image. In the image of God created he him, male and female created he them. And God blessed them. And God said unto them, be fruitful and multiply, and replenish the earth, and subdue it, and have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over every living thing that moveth upon the earth.
So right there we see that this man was given a priesthood, a high priesthood of the order of Melchizedek. And his woman is right there with him. So we got chapter 1. We're going to go right into chapter 2 of Genesis. And we're going to start about verse 18 because we need it to be understood that Genesis 2 is an overview. It's showing the building of the garden, but in the same breath, it's explaining chapter 1.
Right. And
so
then,
go ahead, bro.
And then you see how when we be talking and you see a lot of Hebrews, they act like in the beginning that Adam was made part of that image, of that Eve was made part of the image too. She was made a spiritual being as well as Adam.
Absolutely.
And we just read it. So God created man in his own image. In the image of God created he him, male and female created he them. So we be acting like the woman is just like a sack of potatoes or something.
Or like she just showed up on the scene 10,000 years later.
And that's not the case at all. That's not the case at all. And before we go there, I just wanted to read Genesis 5, and I'm going to read 1 and 2.
Go ahead, bro.
Genesis 5, 1 and 2, it says, this is the book of the generations of Adam, and the day that God created man. In the likeness of God made he him. Male and female created he them, and blessed them, and called their name, Adam, in the day when they were created.
Absolutely.
Because remember, if you get in Genesis chapter 3, Adam named his wife Eve. God didn't name Eve yet. They both were just called Adam, which means man, showing you that she was there in the beginning with him.
Absolutely.
So we gotta quit speaking down on them like Dan was saying, like they was made thousands of years after Adam was created. That wasn't so at all.
So we'll get a little bit of this Genesis chapter 2, verse 18, and it's going to explain this surgery that took place on Adam, that took a woman from him, which truly makes him with her one flesh, because she was taken from his rib.
Most definitely.
Go ahead, bro.
Genesis chapter 2, verse 18. And the Lord God said, it is not good that a man should be alone.
See, what did he say?
It is not good for a man to be alone.
See, so that's the whole thing that the Most High say, not good.
Right.
For a man to be alone, because it could create a lot of problems with women around.
Most definitely.
It could create a lot of issues for what we call today loneliness or depression when you watching every other beast on the field.
Yeah.
Mating, and you trying to figure out what's going on with me.
Right.
Go ahead, bro.
He see male and female. He see a lot of producing going on, but he looking around. He like, dang, where my help me at?
Absolutely.
So it says, and the Lord God said, it is not good that a man should be alone. I will make him a helpmeet for him. So
if we get the definition of helpmeet, if you will, bro. So he said, Most High said, I'm going to make somebody that's going to be compatible with him. They're going to be one flesh, and what other way than to take it from the man himself?
Right.
What you most familiar with is yourself.
Right. Okay, helpmeet. Helpmeet is Ezer, or Azer, and it's the Hebrew concordance H5828, and it says help, succor, one who helps. The actual Strong's definition says and help aid, succor. So
we're talking about a helper, one that got your back, and but we'll let the lesson. We'll continue on. Let the verses speak for themselves on how the Most High created this woman. Verse 19. We in Genesis 2, verse 19. It says, and out of the ground the Lord God formed every beast of the field,
and every fowl of the air, and brought them unto Adam to see what he would call them. And whatsoever Adam called every living creature, that was the name thereof.
So Adam named every beast on this earth as well as he named his wife.
Most definitely.
As you were speaking of earlier.
Most definitely.
Go ahead, bro.
Verse 20. And Adam gave names to all cattle, and to the fowl of the air, and to every beast of the field. But for Adam there was not found a helpmeet for him. There was not found one. Verse 21. And the Lord God caused a deep sleep to fall upon Adam, and he slept. And he took one of his ribs and closed up the flesh instead thereof.
So we see the creation in 126. This is what's taking place right here. That's how they were created, male and female. At this point, that surgery was performed on Adam because he put him to sleep. If you think about today at the hospital, you go get an operation. The first thing they do is put you to sleep before they start cutting on you.
They gotta sedate you.
And he took a rib from the man, and he took basically part of the breastplate that protects the organs.
Right.
You know, your lungs, your kidneys, your gallstones, your stomach. He took it from there because this is the help. It's got to be somebody that watches your internal.
Right.
Or protects your internal parts, so to speak. And we'll get more into this to make that more clear of what I just spoke of. Go ahead, bro.
It makes sense when the scriptures say a good wife will make you fat of the bones and make your days double.
You know what I'm talking about.
Makes sense now.
Right, absolutely.
Makes sense. Chapter 21. And the Lord God caused a deep sleep to fall upon Adam, and he slept. And he took one of his ribs and closed up the flesh instead thereof. And the rib which the Lord God had taken from man made he a woman.
What did he make?
Made he a woman. And brought her unto Adam.
So we see now the father is setting up the marriage ceremony. How it goes. He's the father.
Right.
And he got his daughter that he's presenting to her husband.
Yeah,
so he's walking her down the aisle, so to speak.
So we see the father giving hand in marriage.
Right, absolutely. Yeah. Like it's supposed to be. See, this is the start of it.
Right.
But today we got a lot of the opposite side, so to speak, where a lot of the what's called marriages, you don't even know who the father is, even if he alive. Right. You know, you may call and say, hey, you may not know me, but I go with your daughter. Right. That's planned marriage. That's planned house. That's not what we're getting into here. We're talking about what constitutes marriage.
Under the order of Melchizedek.
Absolutely. Go ahead, bro.
I want to intervene real quick. This is Jubilees.
Yes, sir.
I got the pseudepigrapha. Make sure y'all pick this up. This is the book of Jubilees. I'm going to start at chapter 3. And it's going in detail exactly what happened in the creation of Eve after he named the animals. So this is the book of Jubilees. I'm going to start at chapter 3. It says, in 6 days of the second week, by the word of the Lord, we brought to Adam all the beasts and all the cattle and all the birds and everything which moves on earth and everything which move in the waters, each according to its kind and each according to its likeness. The beast on the first day, the beast on the first day, and the cattle on the second day, and the birds on the third day, and everything which moves upon the earth on the fourth day, and whatsoever move in the water on the fifth day. And Adam named all of them, each one according to its name, and whatsoever he called them became their names. And during these 5 days Adam was observing all of these, male and female according to every kind which was on the earth, but he was alone, and there was none who he had found for himself, who was like himself, who would help him. Like Dan was just saying, seeing all these male and female animals, they doing their thing, they replenishing, they reproducing, you know, but he looking around and he don't have nobody to help him out.
Absolutely. And one thing we see here too, his mind never went toward bestiality or thinking he should have hooked up with one of those beasts.
Right, because it's order of Melchizedek. Internally, he already knew the order of marriage.
Right.
He's seen it going on with the animals.
Absolutely.
Verse 4, it says, and the Lord said to us, it is not good that a man should be alone. Let us make for him a helper who is like him. Notice he keeps saying us too. That's him in Christ.
That's right.
And the rest of the archangels. Every Elohim is all of them put together. Meaning it's God, meaning powers. It's not singular. Don't mean one person. Like he was saying about the God bodily head. It says, and the Lord our God cast a deep sleep upon Adam, and he slept. And he took one of the bones of the midst of his bones for a woman. And that rib was the origin of the woman from the midst of his bones. And he built up the flesh in place of it. And he constructed a woman. And he awakened Adam from his sleep. And when he awoke, he stood up on the 6th day. And he brought her to him. And he knew her. And he said to her, this is now bone of my bone, flesh of my flesh. This one will be called my wife, because she was taken from her husband. So that's the marriage going down right there.
Absolutely.
That's the marriage going down right there. Verse 7. Therefore, a man and a woman shall be one. And therefore it shall be that a man will leave his father and his mother, and they will join with his wife, and they will become one flesh.
So we see this is a consistent pattern of you have to leave your mother and your father to be one, because you can't have two kings in the household.
No.
One is always going to be subservient to the other. It's why when Isaac finally married Rebekah, he went into his mother's tent. He couldn't stay in his father's tent. He couldn't stay in Abraham's tent, because he had to have his own.
Right. Two grown ass men can't be reproducing in one house. That's
Absolutely.
what that is.
It ain't gonna happen.
Ain't gonna happen at all.
It'd be too much going on.
Yeah. So
go ahead, bro. You back in Genesis 3?
Genesis chapter 2. I'm gonna start at verse 22. And the rib which the Lord God had taken from man made he a woman, and brought her unto the man. And Adam said, this is now bone of my bone, and flesh of my flesh. She shall be called woman, because she was taken out of man. Therefore shall a man leave his father and his mother, and shall cleave unto his wife, and they shall be one flesh. And they were both naked. That the man and his wife, but the man and his wife were not ashamed.
So we see that it says the man should cleave unto his wife. What we see a lot of here is separation going on today. There's no cleaving. And the reason there's no cleaving is because everybody is trying to figure out what are the laws of marriage.
Right.
The laws of marriage works for every marriage that's out there, but everybody's situation may be different.
Right.
But the laws apply to everybody that takes on the marriage covenant. No matter what your condition is, you have to follow these laws. Go ahead, bro.
Here go the definition of cleave. It's Hebrew Concordance H1692, and it's debak, and it means to cling or to adhere or to catch by pursuit, or to fast together.
Yeah.
To fast together, to fellow, be close together, be joined, to be kept fast, to overtake, pursue hard, stick, to take, to be fast together.
And we see that this ceremony took place in the Garden of Eden, so it was a righteous ceremony.
Most definitely.
And not only that, this ceremony was also a public ceremony, and this is what we got to have, y'all. This is what's happening, that there's no more public marriages. And what we mean by that is that publicly you can say this is my wife and she'll say that's her husband, but the public have to be aware of this, so that there's no indiscretions going on, or no finger pointing or name calling. And the script says there must be witnesses there. At least two. So we see the Father, Yahweh, and all the angels at this first wedding. So it was publicly known who was married at this point.
And that's how you know Satan knew that he was committing adultery and fornication.
Absolutely.
Why even trying to holler at her? But all these brothers just taking wives and not letting it be known. Then another brother stepped to the woman.
Right.
Now it's a problem, but you didn't do your job according to the order of Melchizedek marriage, and let everybody know. You supposed to show her off and let everybody know, hey,
Absolutely.
This is my property, it's my possession.
Absolutely. And we're going to get to some scripts to get some clear understanding of that. Hit a little bit of that Proverbs 18:22 for me, because this is not a bad thing. And then no matter what the world is saying today about what's going on, because we're in this system of bondage, marriage is still got to be marriage.
Most definitely. You said Proverbs?
Yeah, Proverbs hit a little bit at 18:22, and then we're going to go to Hebrews 13:4, and we're going to get it established, y'all, and then we're going to jump right into the understanding of the order. that's going to go back into the heavens in that 1 Corinthians 11. And we'll move through this not quickly, but enough to, most people out there already know a few of the scriptures we're going over, but we just going to put it in a context of how it must be obeyed according to the law.
Right. And remember, this is under Melchizedek. All of this started spiritually. This was before they even had corruptible flesh.
Absolutely.
So this is how it was done when it was in its purest state. And that's what we supposed to be working back towards. Like all of this stuff we've been doing lately, we've been making up as we go.
That's flesh rules.
Yeah, flesh rules, right. So we in book of Proverbs 18, started verse 22.
Yes, sir. It's just one verse. We
Verse
get right
22.
to Hebrews 13.
Okay. Whoso findeth a wife findeth a good thing.
What do they find?
Whoso findeth a wife findeth a good thing.
So it's not for a man to be ashamed of this, because he said that's a good thing.
Right.
What he said was a bad thing. It's not good for man to be alone.
Yeah.
So we see the pattern that he's setting up for us, because the first commandment was be fruitful and multiply.
Right.
A man can't do that with himself.
No, can't do that with himself. And the crazy thing, you Negroes do this with your chains. You show everybody your chains.
Right.
You show that off. But when it comes to your woman, you want to keep her hidden. You know what I'm saying? Until it's them double days go on and you ain't got nobody to bring.
Absolutely. And it's that quiet knock at the door.
Right.
With that care package.
Right. Verse 22. Whosoever findeth a wife findeth a good thing and obtaineth favor of the Lord.
What do they obtain?
Favor of the Lord.
So we're talking about favor of the Lord. If you go opposite of that, it's almost like the Christianity doctrine that tell you not to read Revelation, and they start off it's saying, blessed is he that readeth. So what's happening now is just like 1 Tim 4 says, some are forbidden to be married. It's a doctrine with the Catholic Church and the popes. But this is also talking about some putting their hands up. I'm not ready to do it. And that's fine if you choose not to do it, because there's scripts that say you can be a spiritual eunuch, so to speak, and still produce fruit.
But we got a lot of spiritual brothers saying that they ain't ready to be married, but they still boning and boning to my bone in a corner mindset.
Yes, sir.
Making the harlots out of the daughters of Israel.
Right, and that's what's happening, because you put the cart before the horse. This is what they try to say about how our Messiah was born.
Right.
Said that he was born in that fashion, that the cart went before the horse, that he blasted Mary before it was a public ceremony. We know that didn't happen based off of the writings in the scriptures concerning it.
Right, and we see what happened from this though, because once you follow that lust and you get done doing what you got to do, and you done relieved yourself of your lustful duties, now you don't even want it no more.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? So now you done tainted a sister that was potentially a good wife.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? But then we gonna keep it both sides though. You got women running around doing that same thing too.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? Hopping from this brother to this brother to this brother.
And that makes it a whore, because let's just get right to it. There's only two types of sexual intercourse allowed. Well, one type that's allowed, and there's an illegal type that's going on. Either, and this is for women, either you're a wife or you're a harlot. Now, if you practice harlotry, then you become a whore. Just like if you practice sin, you become wicked.
Yeah.
So wickedness is practice sin. So practicing harlotry or having sex without a covering, you're practicing and you're moving toward whoredom, and eventually it's going to get comfortable to you and you'll say, I don't need a man. All I need him for is his money, because he ain't going to be here but 2 or 20 minutes anyway.
Right.
So we're going to get into some scriptures concerning the harlot as well. And when we say that, don't feel like women like there's an attack on you, because it's saying if you had sex without a covering, you're a harlot. But we see that all throughout the Bible.
Right.
There's nowhere that we've studied and seen that if a harlot that was not married, there was no punishment for it.
Right.
There was a bad name for it.
Yeah.
But because of conditions that we had, the same condition we had today, men divorcing women for any cause, because she burned up the hot dogs, can't cook eggs. So they was divorcing for every reason. This would put a woman out with no protection.
Right.
So she had to live, she had to eat. So she found herself in those situations. But if she decide to become a prostitute
Right.
or to sell her wares, then we are moving into a different stage of the now you'll see harlots starting to be punished,
Right,
and punishment will come down.
Harlotry at this time.
It's practice harlotry.
And we see the book of Hosea. He married a harlot.
Absolutely.
Christ married many harlots. Israel played the harlot so many times, and then that's the reason why God had divorced us.
Right.
If it wasn't for his only begotten son, he loved us so much that he brought us back to the marriage supper through his son.
That's right.
Because once you have a wife and you get rid of that wife and she marry or touch another, you can't go back with her.
Right.
He understand his own law, so he had his son come marry us. So we even see when it comes to the God bodily head that we played the harlot when it came to the Father, and we playing the harlot now, but we renewed back to our husband, which is Christ.
Absolutely. So go ahead, bro. We're gonna hit a little bit of this Hebrews. Hit that 13 and 4, and y'all, we're gonna hit a couple quick hitters just to get right to it, so we can get some clear understanding, because there's only certain scriptures that people are having some issues with and what constitutes marriage. Right. We're gonna get into a little bit of the permissive will of the Most High concerning polygamy.
Right.
Which there's two sides of that. There's polyandry, and then there's polygyny for the man. Right. And that's a man with more than one wife. But polyandry is a woman with more than one husband, which has never been allowed.
I ain't never heard that.
It's never been allowed.
All right, so Hebrews 13, where you want to start at?
Just start about verse 4.
Hebrews chapter 13, verse 4. Marriage is honorable.
What is marriage?
Marriage is honorable in all, and the bed undefiled. But whoremongers and adulterers God will judge.
So you see what he's going to judge. Whoremongers, that means practicing sex without the protection part.
Right.
You basically want your cake and eat it too.
Right. You're going inside these women with no intentions on marrying them.
Right.
No intentions. So it says, verse 5, let your conversation be without covetousness, and be content with such things as ye have. For he have said, I will never leave thee nor forsake thee.
See, and that's what a protection plan does. It never leaves or it never forsake. But if you're scared of marriage because you can't walk out the door when you feel like it, then that's a problem as well. Now you fear a covenant that you're trying to be a part of in the end game.
Right.
So if you don't learn it now, you ain't gonna be able to learn it at the marriage supper of the Lamb.
Right. Y'all get what Elder's saying, right? He's saying this. When you get married, you're practicing Melchizedek. When you actually get married in the spiritual sense, you're going back to the garden. You're going back to the image of how it was supposed to be in the first place.
Absolutely.
What we've been doing ain't been the marriage under Melchizedek. What we've been doing ain't been none of that. What we've been doing is what he said. We've been making new rules and covenanting the flesh, making covers of the flesh when we supposed to be in the spiritual realm with this. So we need to start going by the guidelines. Like, we making the rules as we go, but it's all right here on how to do it.
Right, and the rules aren't different than before you came into the walk. It's the same flesh rules.
Right.
It's the same thing. Just like then, if you didn't pick somebody up, the other one, on them folly days.
Right.
They knew they was number two. So if you can't bring a woman to the Passover, she knows she's number two. All you're doing is just flipping over. You just conscious doing the same thing.
Right.
And that's not permitted in Israel, y'all, because one flesh don't have no secrets.
Right.
And what I'm talking about is secrets to the point of who else is joined with them.
Right. And like he said, that's a good point. You don't and brothers and sisters do this. Like, again, we not just bashing on the brothers, and we not just bashing on the sisters, but we see this every day, all day, where it's a marriage going on, but somebody else somewhere off married to somebody else, and the person that you stay with don't even know.
Absolutely.
And that leaves that open for STDs, or this person that you keep leaving, this person that's not of the household, she might be sleeping with somebody else. Now you married to 5 other people, you adulterous now, and your name being shamed because you don't want to tell the truth, or you don't be open and honest about your manhood, about you having more than one wife.
And see, and until you're that that order of protection is put in place, you'll find yourself being with a woman you just been with. If she tell you pregnant, she pregnant, and then the first thing you say, how I know it's mine. What do you mean, how do I know it's mine? It better be mine.
It better be mine.
See, if you say how I know it, then you've already accepted you've been in a threesome.
Yeah, you've been in a threesome, yep. You may continue reading?
Yes, no, you can hold right there. We're going to get right into it. Matthew chapter 19, verse 1 through 4. We're going to hear a little bit of Matthew 5:32, and then we're going to get into that 1 Corinthians 11 to show the same order of the man and the woman, that they are 50-50 as far as being one flesh, but the man can never drop below 51%.
Right.
She can never get above 49% in what we call the head of the household.
Right.
So man he was given rule in Genesis 3.
Right.
And he shall rule over thee, but we're not talking about no Ike Turner type of rulership. We're talking about a man ruling from these commandments, or orderly household, that his woman would have no problem saying, like Sarah called Abraham, Lord, or this is my master here, but still understanding who the true master was.
Most definitely. So you said Matthew 19?
Yeah, about 1 through 4.
Book of Matthew chapter 19, verse 1.
And the reason we're going to get into the laws of marriage in the Old Testament, or what we call the law, the first 5 books, we're going to get into that. But what we're establishing, Christ is establishing that priesthood from the beginning back again. So we need to really stay clearly there, or you're going to try to get back into Aaron and get a little freelance going.
Right. And
go
there
ahead.
ain't no such thing as that under Melchizedek. The law became spiritual at that point. Matthew chapter 19, verse 1. And it came to pass that when Jesus had finished the sayings, he departed from Galilee and came unto the coast of Judea beyond Jordan. And the great multitudes followed him, and he healed them there. And the Pharisees also came unto him, tempting him, and saying unto him, is it lawful for a man to put away his wife for every cause?
So now they challenging him on how well he knows the law.
Right.
Can a man put a woman away for every cause? And we'll see what the Messiah had to say about that. Go ahead, bro.
Verse 4. For he answered and said unto them, have ye not read that he which made them at the beginning made them male and female?
So he's getting back all the way back to the beginning of how they were made.
Right.
Male and female.
And that's a gay child too.
There wasn't no right. This eliminates them trying to get married.
Yeah.
But what this does is establish a 50-50 a percentage of one body with the other half. Then when it comes to the spiritual level, that's on the fleshly side, it's 50-50. But when it comes to a spiritual, there have to be a head of household. There have to be 51% at minimum going to the man, and 49% at maximum going to the woman. Because if both of them are 50-50 spiritually, then you got roommates.
Right.
You don't have a head of a household.
Right, exactly.
Go ahead, bro.
Verse 5. And said, for this cause shall a man leave his father and mother, and shall cleave unto his wife, and they twain shall be one flesh. Wherefore they are no more twain, but one flesh. What therefore God hath joined together, let not man put asunder. So
man can't come between this. So this is why we're not going into no Dr. Phil-ism. We ain't got no degrees. You got any degrees up here?
No.
So what we're doing is, but what we do have is the law that's presented before us to tell us how we need to govern ourselves if we choose to be married.
Right. And look, we're not interested in being Dr. Phil at all. I'm not interested in being Dr. Phil. These are the laws, and this is what it's saying.
You can hold it. Let's get right to 1 Corinthians 11, y'all. We're going to move through this a little rapidly because most of y'all understand this is, we don't want to keep giving you milk on this subject. We just want to get right to the heart of it. And the one that seems to cause a lot of confusion in that 1 Corinthians 7, we're going to get into that and get that cleared up. And that'll open up the law that where we go back, because it's a lot of things pointing to the law within that writing. But hold on, before you hit that, hit that 1 Corinthians 11 chapter, because we need to establish the head of the household, or the heavenly spiritual marriage that's coming back.
Okay.
1 Corinthians chapter 11, verse 1.
Start about 12.
Start 12.
Yeah. And this will get us right to where we need to be, where we expressing how they were made in the beginning.
Okay. 1 Corinthians chapter 11, verse 12. For as the woman is of the man, even so.
No, I'll tell you what, bag it up. Let's bag it up for verse 7.
Verse 7. 1 Corinthians chapter 11, verse 7. For a man indeed ought not to cover his head, for as much as he is the image and the glory of God.
Where we read that at? In the beginning.
Yeah, in the beginning, in the garden. But the woman is the glory of the man.
So we're starting to see the hierarchy.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Verse 8. For the man is not of the woman, but the woman of the man.
So we're talking about which came first, the chicken or the egg.
The chicken, of course, came first.
Which, okay, in this case would be the man. Go ahead.
Neither was the man created for the woman, but the woman for the man. For this cause ought the woman to have power on her head because of the angels.
And we know that if a woman don't have power over her head and sexual intercourse is going on, it brings on evil spirits. And that's what tempted the angels and caused the destruction and the flood.
Most definitely. Verse 11. Nevertheless, neither is a man without the woman, neither the woman without the man in the Lord.
So it's saying you have to be of the same mindset. Yeah. There's a whole set of rules in Leviticus 15, 13 all the way up, that tells women this is what you need to be doing.
Right.
To the men, this is what you have to do. This is your 50% of this. These are your rules. These are your regulations. And to the man, these are your rules and these are your regulations.
Right. And notice what it said.
And they bring that together.
And notice what it said, Dan. It says in the Lord. So this is how you can tell that these marriages ain't in Melchizedek.
Absolutely.
It ain't in the Lord, because it's not going down like this. You know what I'm saying? We see a lot of iron ruling, and we see a lot of mouth. We see a lot of trying to usurp authority over the man, and we see a lot of the man trying to rule his house with an iron fist.
Right.
But it says in the Lord is like 50-50 in the spirit.
Yeah.
In the spirit. But it can never be 51 like he was saying with the woman. Otherwise, the man lose the head of household at this time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
and we know what'll happen with that. We're going to get into a little bit of Sirach to explain that as well.
Verse 12. For as the woman is of the man, even so is the man also by the woman.
So it's saying, look, you can't reproduce if it ain't for the woman.
Man, you can't.
You know, so you can't see an image of you.
Scientifically impossible.
Right.
It says, but all things of God.
So if we keep that perspective that we know that a marriage covenant has to have him involved with it if it's going to stay together.
Right, most definitely.
So and the only way that's going to stay together is everybody stay in their lane.
Right.
Don't get over here in the man's lane, woman. And man, for sure, don't get over there in the woman's lane.
For sure. And the thing is, you can't play the man. And with the woman, you bet not be playing the woman.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? You have your own role, your own duty. And if you don't know what your role is, all you have to do is go back to the garden. Go back to Genesis. Just go back to that. And notice he told both of them to protect and subdue the garden.
That's right.
They both was working in the garden, but they both was doing their own thing. If you get in the book of Adam and Eve, he was on the east side of the garden. Eve was on the west.
That's how Satan snuck in there.
Yeah, that's how he snuck in.
See, Adam was in the garden. He just wasn't right there.
Yeah, he wasn't right there. The whole time that was happening, Adam was he was on the east side of the garden doing his thing. The angels had went up to pray. When the angels went up to pray, Satan like, okay, I see the angels done mustered back up in the cloud. Adam all the way on the east. He snuck in through the west.
That's right.
He snuck in, so he was not right there. Everybody saying that he was right there and he watched. No, that's not the case at all. He was on a whole different side of the garden while everything went down.
Yeah, absolutely.
Where we at now?
Go ahead, bro. We're going to get it right into some Numbers 30. And this is the law concerning the head of the household. So it kind of links up with this 1 Corinthians 11. Right. And it's telling the man this is the 51% he can't go below. He can't even make it 50-50, because once you start agreeing that I can answer the door sometimes, man.
Nah.
You know, and then we'll have the same problem, or women, you'll have the same problem that Miriam had when she challenged Moses. Right. Even though she was a prophetess and prophesying the Lord's word, yet Moses was above her as a prophet, and she thought that it was 50-50 in the household of the Most High.
See, that leprosy came
and
over.
that leprosy came over.
Let
It
you know
put
that
you
was-
back in check.
Put her back in check quick. All right, Numbers 30. When we start.
Yes, sir. And just start at verse 1. And y'all, and this is a very powerful book here, this chapter 30, because it breaks down 1 Corinthians 11 in a sense that where we can understand men if you only understood the spiritual power that you had.
Right.
But we like that flesh, you know, we like to look like we the man.
Yeah, we like you just said, we like to look like it, but on the inside, inside the household, it's the other way around. She running everything. She wearing the drawers, and you the one stuck on the couch not doing nothing. So
Right.
we got to start ruling in our spirits first, and then we worry about the flesh later. You lead in the spirit, the flesh follow.
Absolutely.
That is what it is. We in the book of Numbers, chapter 30, verse 1.
Yes, sir.
And Moshe spake unto the heads of the tribes concerning the children of Israel, saying, This is the thing which the Lord hath commanded.
Right.
If a man vow a vow unto the Lord, or swear an oath to bind his soul with a bond, he shall not break his word. He shall do according to all that proceedeth out of his mouth.
So this is a vow to the Lord, because that's where you get married to. You're saying this is before the Lord, and I'm vowing a vow.
Yeah.
So this is not an abstain or what you were saying, a swear or I affirm, so to speak.
Right.
This is not an affirmed process. Marriage is a vow.
Yeah, straight
that,
vow.
and the vow is not for the preacher to do your vows if you've been married or you understand it from that perspective. If you allow him to recite your vows, then you have to accept those vows.
Right.
And those are accepted by the Most High, because you're saying he's my mouthpiece.
Right. And you're still vowing a vow.
So what happens is not that you've joined three with the preacher. It's just the fact that you've given him permission to speak for you. So a lot of people get this misunderstood statement, well, the preacher is involved. No, at any time you can say, hold it. I need to say this for me.
Right.
He has to stop it, because no man could cut asunder. No man could come in between that unless you allow that.
Right.
Go ahead, bro.
And the crazy thing is, we read this and it says you bind your soul when you do this. You bind your soul. And the most thing I always hear is, until death do us part.
Right.
That's what y'all say in y'all marriage, until death do us part. And then 6 months later, it's a divorce when you just swore and made an oath, a vow to God that it was to death do y'all part.
Absolutely.
And it makes sense when Christ said in the beginning that wasn't so.
Absolutely.
Because after Eve did all of that, she spiritually committed fornication with Satan, and Adam never left her. Adam never left. And then you see what Christ was saying when he was like, look, in the beginning that wasn't so. It's Moses gave y'all that law.
That's right.
So it makes sense.
Go ahead,
Verse
bro.
2.
Verse 3.
Verse 3. If a woman also vow a vow unto the Lord, and bind herself by a bond, being in her father's house in her youth.
So it's saying her father is her covering at this time. If she decide to vow a vow to the Lord, she still has a covering because she's in her father's house. Go ahead, bro.
Verse 4. And her father hear her vow, and her father hear her vow, and her bond wherewith she had bound her soul, and her father shall hold his peace at her. Then all her vows shall stand, and every bond wherewith she had bowed her soul shall stand.
So right here, if a father hear a daughter praying or making a vow to the Lord, if he hear it, at that point, if he don't say nothing, the vow stands, because he's saying, okay, go ahead, I agree with that. But the key was, it said, if he hear it.
If he hear it, meaning he's the head of the household.
Go ahead, bro.
Verse 5. But if the father disallow her in the day that he heareth not any of her vows, or of her bonds wherewith she had bowed her soul, shall stand. And the Lord shall forgive her, because her father disallowed her.
And see, and this is a woman who could want to take care of a man and gets outside of the scope of a man finding a woman.
Right.
So she may want to go looking, and her father hear that, he like, no, you can't do that up in here. No, can't no other man come up in here, like this. That was against the laws in Israel back in the day.
Most definitely.
So he would disavow that, and the Most High would forgive her for even thinking like that.
Right.
But the Father had control of that. Go ahead, bro.
And because you had diaries and everything, like we just going over the father now. We just going straight to the woman, and I beat your father in 6 months or so.
And that's what we lost as well is the term for a woman. She's not called female by coincidence.
Right.
She's a female. She comes with a fee, and it's called a dowry.
Most definitely, female.
Or it comes with something that can, even the protection order, it has to come with. There has to be a fee that you pay to protect her, and she comes under your covering.
Right.
Whether that be an insurance policy, a marriage certificate, a power of attorney, but there must be a power of covering somewhere around that you can produce as a receipt. Now you got receipts for everything else. You got receipts from your brakes from AutoZone so you can keep getting a free fire. You got a receipt for your pistol in case it jams. You won't take. But your most prized possession, you don't have a receipt for it and say I don't need one.
That's crazy.
Go ahead, bro. Keep reading.
That's crazy. Verse 6. And if she had at all a husband.
If she had a what?
At all a husband. When she vowed or uttered aught out of her lips, wherewith she bound her soul, and her husband heareth, and held his peace at her in the day that he heard it, then her vow shall stand, and her bonds wherewith shall bound her soul shall stand. So
we see the power or the position that the Most High have given the man in rulership that goes back to Genesis. Right. That if he hear his wife saying a vow and he like, that woman on point today. Right.
Let that go.
Let that go, Lord. Yeah. The Lord will allow that vow to stand. Go ahead, bro.
That really lets you understand that the head of the woman is the man.
Is the man.
They really understand that.
Go ahead,
Verse 8. But if her husband disallow her on the day that he heareth it, then he shall make her vow which should vowed. Let me read that again.
Read that again, bro.
Yeah, I'll chop that all up. But if her husband disallow her on the day that he heareth, then he shall make her vow which she vowed, and that which she uttered with her lips, wherewith she bound her soul of nine effect.
Of what?
Of nine effect. And the Lord shall forgive her.
So we see the Lord forgiving her at this point, and this is a husband and wife now. See, this lines up with 1 Corinthians 7. It's the same thing of dealing with every form of man and woman or father and daughter concerning these.
In the Old Testament.
And this is all Paul was doing in 1 Corinthians 7. A lot of people say he changed all of that. No, Paul is going exactly how this is being worded.
We reading it right now.
Go ahead, bro.
Verse 9. But every vow of a widow.
Now we're dealing with the widow. Right. Go ahead.
But every vow of a widow and of her that is divorced, wherewith they have bound their souls, she stand against her. Shall stand against her. And if she vowed in her husband's house, or bound her soul by a bond with an oath, and her husband heareth, and he held his peace at her, and disallowed her not, then all her vow shall stand, and every bond wherewith she bowed her soul shall stand. So,
and this is what we're talking about when the scripts say a woman should not usurp authority over a man. And see, that commandment is more to the man.
Right.
Because once you hear something and she's saying, I'll go tell Lord, you can disavow that. Now, that works two ways now. She could be trying to help you like Abigail was trying to help her husband Nabal, who went off on David. And that caused him to be put to death by the Most High because of his evil ways. She told him, look, David been watching your flocks, and all he asked was a little something to eat.
That's it.
And that wasn't nothing to pay for all what he had done for you, and you waved your hand like that nigga better get on away from around her.
And then you see that 49%, she exhausted all of it, because even after that, her being his help me, this Sekal, she peeped, she like, well, David finna come lay everything down.
That's right.
Let me get some gifts and some foods and some wine signs and put it on his ass and meet him before he come to the gate.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But notice she always kept what she was supposed to do, and she kept her stance as being a virtuous woman, because she could have not said anything to him about it. But when she got back home, she found him drunk and laid out.
Right.
She was finna tell him, but she like, I'm not finna say why he drunk. But that morning she told him everything that happened.
Absolutely.
So
Didn't keep no secrets.
Didn't keep no secret.
Right.
You know
and let them know David came up in here. Look, I had to do what I had to do to save your life.
Right.
And he kicked against the pricks, and his heart was hardened like Pharaoh's. And he like, well, I don't care nothing about that.
Yeah, Most High killed her.
You know, which we understand what he loved more than his wife was his alcohol.
Most definitely.
Go ahead, bro.
Verse 12. But if her husband have utterly made them void on the day he heard them, then whatsoever proceedeth out of her lips concerning her vows, or concerning the bond of her soul, shall not stand. Her husband hath made them void, and the Lord shall forgive her. Every vow, and every binding oath to afflict the soul, her husband may establish it, or her husband may make it void.
Right.
Let me read that
So
one.
even of fasting,
Right.
if what she's fasting about, it could be made void. Like I said, that's a double-edged sword. Man, if you can't get control and you read this and you think, well, oh, I got advantage of her, you may be spiting your own,
Right.
cutting off your nose to spite your face.
Like if he would have told like if he did find out that she went to see Dave and he said, no, you can't.
Right.
He would have died earlier than what he did.
Because he disavowed a righteous prayer.
Yeah.
So you can't take this as, well, I'm the man, I'll disavow anything you say. Run it by me first.
Right.
But to keep things saying if he hear it.
Right.
So what we're talking about is she's going to do her prayers in her closet if he hear it, or if she say it loudly. But how can she hear meditation though?
Right.
What if she's meditating on the Lord in a vow?
Right.
But with the mouth confession is made.
Right.
So if he hear that, he can disavow. But most men understand this, and we don't understand that the power we have spiritually with being the head of the household or the rulership that this is explaining. We think we can get it better done by going upside the head.
Right, and which is totally off.
Right, so once you crash them upside the head with a two-piece, and then they take that and they still around. Next, you're going to have to pick up something to hit them. Next, it's going to be graveyard love, because they're taking when all you have to do is spiritually get busy.
And explain to them what graveyard love is.
And graveyard love is if you ain't going to be with me no more, I'll kill you.
Graveyard love.
Graveyard love, which is no love. It's truly you are practicing death do you part every day.
Right.
You go to sleep mad. You wake up mad. Dinner you eat mad.
Right.
That's no way. The Most High say, if your eye offend you, pluck it off. It's better that you go into the kingdom maimed.
Yeah, and that's what that Quran teach. If the woman can't live you, you can kill her. She get out of hand, you can beat her. That's that Quran talk.
No.
Before we continue, I want to read something from the book of Adam and Eve. This is chapter 3. It says, and Eve said unto Adam, my Lord, would you kill me, oh, that I die? Then perhaps the Lord God will bring you again into paradise. For it is because of me that the Lord God is angry with you. Adam answered, do not wish to speak such words, lest the Lord bring us in a more further curse. How is it possible that I should let loose my hand against my own flesh?
See how he disavowing what she's saying?
Yeah.
See, this is Numbers 30. This law ain't just popped up yesterday. Go ahead, bro.
It says, but rather let us rise and search for ourselves how we might live and not be weakened. So Eve saying, look, Lord, kill me, and you can get back in paradise. He like, look, she's like, go on, kill me, and the Lord won't be mad at you no more. He like, woman, what I look like putting my hand on my own flesh?
On my own
flesh.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna beat up myself.
Not only that, so he go back to the misery that was in there. It's not good for man to be alone. So go ahead, bro.
Most definitely.
We'll just finish that out on this Numbers, and then we'll jump right into Ephesians 5, and then I want to get right into that 1 Corinthians 7, which is the heart of the matter.
Okay, verse 15. So read this out.
Yeah, just
verse
read that
15. If he shall any ways make them void after that he have heard them, then he shall be heard.
No, read that again.
But if he shall any ways make them void after that he have heard them, then he shall bear her iniquity.
See, so if he shall in any ways make them void after he heard them, so you can try to cut off a good deal. A woman may be, this is where Paul get right into it again at 1 Corinthians 7. If the unsaved man be pleased to dwell with her, don't put him away. So this is speaking the same language.
Right.
Go ahead, bro.
Let you know, Paul was quoting the Old Testament.
That's all he did.
He wasn't making up no new stuff, man. Verse 16. These are the statutes.
What are these?
These are the statutes which the Lord commanded Moshe between a man and his wife.
Between a man and what?
And his wife. Between the father and his daughter, being yet in her youth in her father's house.
So we see that there was structure in this household.
Right.
No, wasn't no boyfriends just coming round.
No.
Hanging around with no dowry.
Right, no dowry.
Knocking on the door, talking about there's some girl in her name, Lucy May.
And it makes sense why it was arranged. Like after Adam, after he cried out to the Lord, like, Lord, I need a helpmate. When he created Eve, everybody think that they automatically seen each other. It was a period of time before he even brought his daughter to his son Adam. It was a time. So he actually really brought her to there. And then what was the dowry? They already had paradise. They already had the food.
That's right.
They already had the home. So everything was already set and established.
Right.
So that's the marriage we supposed to be looking at, and that's how we supposed to be treating our women, and that's how the women supposed to be treating their man, how it was before they sinned.
Right.
Makes sense.
And and what we're talking about, a lot of people, them niggas some cake niggas. They're talking that foolishness. Them niggas soft as wet toilet tissue.
And that ain't the case by far.
No, all we talking about is if you go to mad, turn the opposite way, and you go to sleep in those evening prayers, and you ain't got that off your chest, and you take that into another day, the Most High say it is sin unto you.
Yeah, don't let the sun go down on your wrath.
So how you in the same bed? You an enemy with your flesh.
Meaning, let that make you bipolar? You mad at yourself.
Cancer is an enemy to the body. What they do with cancer?
Cut it out.
Cut it out.
Yeah. It don't make sense. You call yourself one flesh. You say that's your wife, but y'all always at it. That means you're at yourself. Like at this time, y'all spiritually won. Y'all won. So why is you beating her? Or why is you yelling all upside his head? Like it don't make sense because y'all are one.
Right.
Y'all won. 1 Corinthians chapter 7.
Yeah.
Might well start at 1 Hebrew.
Yes, sir. That's where we're going to start. Yeah. And y'all, what we're going to do with this is breaking down just like Numbers 30. What 7 does, it goes into every avenue of intercourse between man and woman, whether married, whether unmarried, whether divorced, is going to get into just like this Numbers 30. And you're going to hear Paul's same language of addressing this from Numbers 30.
1 Corinthians chapter 7 verse 1. Now concerning the things whereof ye wrote unto me, it is good for a man.
Is it good
for a man not to touch a woman?
See, now these are things that people of the church was writing to Paul. He's saying these are things y'all wrote to me. Is it good that a man not touch a woman?
Right.
Because of the issues that we have. And a lot of times, you hear brothers say, well, she got a Babylonian mindset. Well, you go get another one with a Babylonian mindset and get rid of her. Then you go get another one with a Babylonian mindset. You striking out.
Right.
You may need to give it. This may not be for you.
Right.
Because you keep choosing Babylonian mindsets.
Right.
But that's because we put the cart before the horse and we start trying to court or sport the woman after we done had our way.
Right, y'all, because y'all looking at big breasts and a big butt and y'all automatically thinking, because this the thing I've been noticing with Hebrews, if you lay with her, you know that you're supposed to be taking care of her or giving her a fee.
Absolutely.
So we put it out there like, well, look, I want you to be my wife. Then once we hit it, we quit it.
Right.
Then, you know what I'm saying? Like, we gotta get out of that mindset. We gotta get out of that mindset. So you look up a year later and you done been through 5 women and ain't not 2 of them not even yours.
And 3 babies. So you got some issues that you gonna deal with. If you think you worried about the state, you ain't got to worry about them. A child that's in there and you separated, the state gonna be in your business.
Most definitely.
Without your permission.
Most definitely.
Go ahead, bro.
And just scientifically speaking, we don't even realize what we doing to these babies. And I'm talking about like willfully doing this, because we know that some things happen, and a lot of fathers is not able to be inside the actual household.
Divorce happens.
Divorce happens, but when we willfully plan women like this, or the woman playing a man, and then a baby comes up out of it, and then y'all done with each other, now we got a baby missing the masculine aspect of that union.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And it's effects that happens to children when they grow up like that without the father around, and vice versa without the mother around. These play roles on the children. Now you got boys being real effeminate because they're around nothing but women.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? And then you got the girls being over masculine or too much feminine. Now they taking on this independent mindset when y'all wasn't created to be independent.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? So we got to really start looking out for the youth. First off, we got to be following these laws, statutes, and judgments.
That's what we got to do first.
And we won't even be entering into marriages the way we've been entering into them. And then we got to think about our children in the future when we doing this. When you get married, one of the commands was to go forth, be fruitful, and multiply. He didn't say that for you to lead a household. He said it for you to train up the child.
Absolutely.
Just putting it out there.
Yeah.
1 Corinthians chapter 7, verse 2. Nevertheless, to avoid fornication, let every man have his own wife, and let every woman have her own husband.
So you'll have a lot of people try to grab this scripture and denounce polygyny,
right,
or what's up under the banner of polygamy.
Right.
You know, for the man's side. So they'll say right here, this saying at least it has to be this if it's going to be a marriage.
Just seen this on Facebook.
It ain't got nothing to do with you can't bring an addition because polygamy was granted.
Right.
It was protected by the permissive will of the Most High and written down. And there's laws that we're going to get to concerning that. But there was rules for that as well. Right. And it's just saying if you're going to be married, let everybody have their own one flesh.
Right.
Because there's laws in Leviticus about uncovering one's nakedness.
Right.
If a daughter like Lot's daughter uncovered her mother's nakedness by them sleeping with their father, getting them drunk.
Right.
Which has never been permitted in the scripture ever of a father on daughter or a mother on her son.
No. And he said it. As soon as the verse 2 start off, he say, nevertheless, to avoid what? Fornication. To avoid fornication.
Sexual crimes.
Sexual crimes. Leviticus 18, Leviticus 20. It says, let every man have his own wife, and let every woman have her own husband. Let the husband render unto the wife due benevolence.
What he gonna render?
Due benevolence.
Get a little bit of that benevolence for me. And this is something that y'all, it's not about how much paper you have. It's about, do you have enough paper to take on a wife?
Most definitely.
That you would have to protect. We're not saying that it's going to go smooth 100% of the time. A man could have a good job making fat money.
So as you get married, everybody quit.
That, or you may lose your job, and then you have to really see, do you have a helpmeet?
Yeah.
Or do you have what Job ended up with, who after he got sick and lost his fortune because Satan was allowed to attack.
Right.
We find out that she was a gold digger.
Right.
Curse God and die, man.
You sure
he said you speak as a foolish woman. He's still inside the law because he added an ISH on fool, which no man is supposed to call anybody a fool.
Right.
He said you speak as a foolish woman.
And it sure let you know that she went down from jump.
But she got used to that. Job was the richest man in the East.
Cattle.
Had everything, and now you stinking.
Yeah. Balls all
on you, the children dead. Man, just curse God and die. Right. So if he curse God and die, what's going to happen to him in the resurrection?
Right. And where that's going to lead you?
So what has all of that, those riches done for us? So y'all don't get it twisted. We talking about taking care of or a gold digger is what a man is. M-A-N.
Right.
Meeting all needs.
Right.
Not a M-A-N, a mooching as Negro. You got to know the difference between the two.
Most definitely.
They're going to meet your needs, not your wants.
Right.
If you want them wants and there got to be something extra, then you will help out.
Yeah.
You will help out. But he got the shelter for you, like it say, a place prepared, like the Messiah went to prepare a place for the bride for Revelation 19.
Back to that,
You have to have that place.
And like paradise will prepare for Eve.
And things may happen. You may have to move back in with your parents, but at least you know the rules of the household. But you will be married if you move back in. They'll accept that. Go down south and say, this my gal, and try to sleep in the same room down south.
Yeah, it ain't going down.
One of y'all be sleeping in the car. law.
Right.
Go ahead, bro.
Do benevolence. This is the Greek Concordance 2133, and it says Euna, feminine noun. It says goodwill, kindness, how you say that?
Conjugal like visits. Conjugal duty.
Oh, conjugal duties and man, what is
Where
that?
you at?
Right there. Euphemistically.
Euphemistically.
Let me look that up real quick. Euphemistically. Let me look that up. See what they talking about. Euphemistically, by means of mild or indirect word expressing instead or one considering, not being harsh or blunt.
So what it's saying is you ain't got to always time. Get in there and get something ready. I'm hungry.
Right.
See, that's not the rulership it's talking about.
Right.
That's insecurity of a man, that I have to have you fearing me like that, and every time I come home you shake it.
Right.
You know, hey, daddy's home and he's drunk again. Now every time you move I flinch. No, you can't have that in a household. That's your own flesh.
Right.
Go ahead, bro.
And then if you look at actual up, it says affection. So that's do benevolence. Affection.
Absolutely. And see, and that has to be part of it. So if you arguing all the time, it ain't gonna be no do benevolence.
Not at all.
It ain't gonna be, this ain't talking about you got to go out and you got to buy all that Jared stuff. All of that is what it is. If you're able to afford that, then
right.
by all means do what you do.
Right. But do benevolence could be sitting on the couch watching a movie.
Yeah, every night and yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
So you have to do goodwill toward other. It keeps you tight.
Right.
It keeps you not want to go look for something else. And it says conjugal duty.
Yeah.
So you can't hold back women.
Yeah.
You can't put on the iron drawers.
No.
And men, if you get mad, you can't say if you want somebody else will.
And look, it says render unto the wife due, meaning that's due.
Right.
That's due.
It's due, because what'll happen is you start to play that game. I ain't giving you none tonight, man. You made me mad today. I'm putting on the iron drawers.
Nah.
None for you tonight. And then he thinking, well, none from you tonight. Because I'm finna turn some corners.
I'm finna go get somewhere else.
Right, go ahead.
And the thing is, let's not act like sex is not marriage. That's how you consecrate the marriage anyway.
Absolutely.
Through sex. So we consecrated the marriage through sex. Then after that, what? It just stopped?
Right. And it's because what happened, the man it's a reason that circumcision was put on a man's vessel in his shorts, right, where only his wife should see it.
Right.
That's the only person should see that covenant on the end of him, except the doctor or whoever performed the actual surgery on that. But that's why the covenant is there. But how we come in, we were trained on the streets to use that covenant as a weapon. Right. You're begging for intercourse.
That's crazy.
And you're sneaking to it because you're hiding and you're whispering lies like, I'm only gonna put the covenant part in.
Right.
And she knows full well that if you do that, you going all the way.
Going all the way in.
So, but these are the misunderstandings and the not understanding the law of marriage, what we reduce ourselves to, that you start saying, I'm only going to do this part. That's like being this much pregnant. Right, I'm only a little pregnant.
Right. It makes no
I'm
sense.
only going to do 1 month.
Right.
No, it don't make no sense.
Right.
But that's what we've been reduced to. Go ahead, bro.
Right. So you can't both of y'all can't be holding back sex from each other if y'all a married couple. Verse 4. The wife have not power over her own body.
Over her what?
Over her own body. But the husband.
But who?
But the husband. And likewise, also the husband have not power over his own body, but the wife.
So this is why we understand if polygamy was granted, it was why Sarah introduced it.
Right.
It's why when Jacob had his wives, they introduced their handmaids. Right. He couldn't touch them. Once he touched them, they became wives or concubines, and he had to take care of them.
Right.
But they introduced, not saying that was in every case, but the cases that we read, what Sarah say, I want to bring this to the body. Right. I want to bring Hagar to the body. I can't have no children. Right. And Abraham said, Lord, you hearing this?
Right.
What about this vow she making? He like, that vow can stand. He like, okay.
Straight up.
And when the divorce came, which they end up getting divorced, he said, hear her on that as well.
Right.
So we want to get this understood under the order of Melchizedek. There's some different understanding with how one flesh is spiritually together.
Right.
Not two fleshly people together that every time somebody look at you, you get angry.
Right.
You know, how Sirach 9 talk about a woman who's jealous of a rival. You know, eyes are for looking.
Right.
Eyes are not for lusting, though.
Right.
Go ahead, bro.
Right. Man, and look, he's saying that in the Bible, the cases that we do see, like with Sarah, she actually brought her handmaids, and you see that these wives are presenting their handmaid to their husband. But we're not saying that the wife has to bring the wife,
right,
another wife. You know what I'm saying? If a man want to add to his household, he can, but it ain't gonna be no secret.
Right. And
you're not finna be you're not finna be lying and being out all day, coming back in saying you was with the homeboys, but you was with your other wife. At this point, she's not your other wife.
Right, because it's secret.
You treating her like she's a harlot at this point.
Right.
Verse 5. Defraud ye not one the other, except it be with consent for a time, that ye may give yourselves to fasting and prayer.
So it gonna come a time that where y'all may get into something and defraud one another. You know, you be like, well, you go through those things. So it's getting into now the problems within marriage. You know, he said, but before consent for a time, you at least set a day. Look, we ain't gonna do this past Thursday.
Right. Right.
This ain't gonna keep on going on. We killing each other.
Right. And it's pointless because we're together forever.
Right. Because you're practicing eternal.
He's practicing eternal.
Go ahead, bro.
It says that ye may give yourselves to fasting and prayer and come together again, that Satan tempt you not for your incontinency.
So and Satan will tempt you with that when you split up. That's what happened when this flesh split up, and then you'll get a run of fine-looking women coming across you, and or women, a bunch of men coming across with their shirt buttoned down to the third button.
As soon as y'all separate, that's what you see.
That's what happened. That's what Satan introduced, because that's what he introduced in the garden. Everybody available now, all of a sudden. And the key is, ain't been no divorce certificate, so now it's adultery going on. Right. Throughout there, because the parties don't know what's going on.
And that's well known amongst the so-called Negroes of especially America. You see brothers and sisters be divorced and be separated for 20 years, but they've been with a boyfriend for 17 years. You like, so it was never a bill passed? They be like, no, we only been separated. Like you see that in a lot of your grandmas and grandpas. They be separated from each other, but they got a whole new man with children by them, but a bill of divorce was never passed down.
Right. So and when we get into the Matthew, you're gonna see all of that is adultery on the man, because the power is you got to let go. You have to let go. Because what happens is what happened to us in Ezekiel 16 chapter, Ezekiel 23, when we played the harlot like that. Yeah. And we're going to get into a little bit of that, because he's going to tell how he married us in there, how he dressed us up, how he brought a dowry in. Go ahead, bro.
Verse 6, but I speak this by permission and not of command.
So a lot of people have a problem with this. How Paul going to decide what he going to say about marriage? Right. You know, but did not we just start out in Matthew 19 where the Messiah said Moses allowed you to divorce your wives, but it was not so from the beginning. So men that the Spirit dwells with have to make decisions concerning individuals. Everybody's situation ain't gonna be the same. Yeah. A lot of times people like, look, man, what you gonna do, man? Right. You can't keep following this woman to work and hiding in them bushes. Yeah. You got leaves in your hair now and have to pick them out, you know. Man, come on, what you gonna do? Right. You know, so this is Paul explaining a lot of things from that perspective. Right. Man, don't let it get to graveyard love. Right. You don't want that. You going to the penitentiary, which you gonna have a bigger problem than you have right now. Because it ain't no women in there for you.
So sometimes you gonna have to cut her loose from that flesh. Sometimes you just gotta get that bill of divorce. Otherwise, your name will be shamed anyway if she move on. And then, like Dan was saying, all of that's on you. Right. All that adultery is on you at this point.
Because all you got to do is let one of them die. And whoever you've been with for those 20 or 30 years, the person that they still tied to gets to come and claim everything. Whatever his half was, if they living together, she can say, all that belongs to me.
Man, that's crazy.
Go ahead, bro.
Verse 7.
Uh-huh.
For I would that all men were as even as I. Hold on. For I would that all men were even as I myself. But every man have his proper gift of God.
What does he have?
His proper gift of God.
So y'all, everything concerning the Most High, if you're working toward that kingdom, is a gift.
Yeah.
Because it's going to grant eternal life.
Yeah.
You were given this for free.
Mm-hmm.
You don't pay for gifts.
No, you don't. Yeah. You don't pay
Go
for
ahead, bro.
One after this manner, and another after that. I say therefore to the unmarried and widows.
So now he's talking to the unmarried and the widows, like we was getting into Numbers 30. So he's talking to the unmarried and the widows. So what constitutes unmarried? Either you a virgin and ain't never been married to no older man, you are divorced, or you a widow.
You a widow.
This is who he's talking to now. It ain't just talking about one individual. Right. It's saying to the unmarried. Right. If you've been divorced, you ain't married no more. Nah. Go ahead.
It is good for them if they abide even as I. But if they cannot contain, let them marry. For it is better to marry than to burn.
Than to burn with lust, because that's what's going to happen. But it's saying if you tried this already and it just didn't work out, it was torment in your life, try staying single for a while. Right. Serve the Lord. Be fruitful in that way as I am. This is a gift that I got. Paul had the same gift the Messiah had.
Yeah.
Could be around women and never even think. Lust wouldn't even cross your mind. Right. That's why he made the statement, if you look to lust on a woman, you already committed adultery. And prostitutes hung around because the Pharisees said it. Right. Look, if he knew what kind of woman this was, you don't think the Messiah know that? Right. But he wasn't tempted about used vessels.
Right. Straight up.
What he was trying to do is redeem them used vessels so that they can become a bride again.
Most definitely.
Go ahead, bro.
Verse 10. And unto the married I command ye not I, but the Lord.
So now he's saying to the married. Now we getting back to the laws of it, back to the beginning of it. Go ahead.
He back on record. It says, but the Lord, let not the wife depart from her husband.
Right.
But, and if she depart, let her remain unmarried.
Let her do what?
Remain unmarried.
And this is what true separation was. It's going to be problems that may make you separate. Yeah. Things are going on. You can't be in the same household. It's explosive. Yeah. You may have to go down south to your big mama's house or he may have to go crash over here, but you got to get that space between to stop that violence from going to take place. Yeah. And y'all, if y'all been noticing every day in the paper is 2 or 3 graveyard loves every day. And I'm starting to see Israel dominating. Go ahead, bro.
Especially in St. Louis, man.
Yeah.
These women these so-called boyfriend and their husbands killing their women left and right, man.
And somebody else's child.
Yeah. Or be reconciled to her husband, and let not the husband put away his wife.
So Paul is saying from the beginning, this all he repeating, ain't it?
Yep.
It was not so.
It was not so.
Go ahead.
But to the rest speak I.
Now he's going to speak to the rest. Go ahead.
Not the Lord. If any brother have a wife that believeth not, and she be pleased to dwell with him, let him not put her away. So
if you got a wife, and when we're talking about believe not, because marriages happen, before you found out you was Israel.
Right, most definitely.
Before you found out there was laws concerning marriage.
Most definitely.
So then there comes a conflict here. You into that Hebrew stuff, I just don't know about that. Now, if there's contention, you have to figure out what you're going to do, and that may mean putting away. Right. But if she's saying, well, let me grow on it for a while. I'm just going to watch you and see what type of man you are. Reason why? Because 2 weeks ago you could have been a Moor. Right. 3 weeks before that you into Egyptology. Now you done found out you a Hebrew. Right. But when these laws, statutes, and judgment, eventually they'll get on board if they please to dwell with you. Because when you're pleased to be around somebody that's keeping the law, you eventually gonna keep the law.
Yeah, of course.
Because those gonna be the rules. Yeah. You're not gonna do anything that's gonna upset that. Right. But you can't force anybody to jump on this. No. Or shove it down their throat. Go ahead, bro.
Verse 13. And the woman Verse 12. But to speak the rest speak I, not the Lord. If any brother have a wife that believeth not, and she be pleased to dwell with him, let him not put her away.
Right.
And the woman which have a husband that believeth not, and if he be pleased to dwell with her, let her not leave him.
So we see the situation is arising, and he's covering every facet of marriage.
Right.
You got married and didn't know you was an Israelite. It's going crazy right now, and I don't want to hear that no more. I thought I was marrying a spiritual man, or I thought I was marrying a spiritual woman, and the contest is on the line. But this is if they be pleased to dwell with you, and they're finding out. Because a lot of us found out while we was 2-3 years already in. One of us found out, and it's a lot of problems on both sides. Women finding out, and they trying to tell their man, and then they call us and they say he just won't listen.
He won't listen.
We can't tell you. We can't get into that.
We ain't Dr. Phil.
Because the bottom line, the first thing they're gonna holler, them niggas ain't paying no bills up in here.
Right. Right.
So we got to try to get this thing worked out. Go ahead, bro.
Yeah. 14. For the unbelieving husband is sanctified by the wife.
What is he?
Sanctified by the wife.
So made set apart.
Yeah.
And that's what's going to happen, because one side is keeping the law, which is spiritual. Mm-hmm. The other side have no choice but to bond if it's not angry all the time about it.
Right.
And what we have here is you bring home something that you just found out and you don't know the rules about it.
Right.
So you're trying to dictate it into the individual.
And the thing is, that spirit, once that spirit gonna weave it out, whether it's supposed to be there or not. So the spirit, if he supposed to be in a relationship in the marriage, or if she supposed to be in a relationship in the marriage, once you get turned on to that truth, they either gonna hear it or it's gonna separate. The one thing the truth do is divide.
Yeah.
I'm telling you.
Absolutely, it brings variance.
Yeah.
Like he said. Go ahead, bro.
And the unbelieving wife is sanctified by the husband. Elsewhere, your children unclean, but now they are holy.
See, and that's what happens. It still allow the household, because you're still together and you're working toward it. Yeah, it's a building process, but marriage is everlasting. How long you got? You can't put a timeline on it.
Yeah.
You only put a timeline on if it's so volatile that somebody may get killed. You got to make some decisions.
Yeah, that's different. Man.
And we can't tell you what to do. You gonna have to make the decisions for your soul.
Right.
Go ahead, bro.
15. But if the unbelieving depart, let them depart. A brother or sister is not under bondage.
What are they not under?
A brother or sister is not under bondage in such cases. In such cases. But God hath called us to peace.
So that's what he's saying. Marriage should be peaceful.
Yeah.
It should not be violent, that every week there's a problem going on.
Right.
Don't torture yourself like that. We're not promoting divorce. We're just telling you what ain't gonna happen or be allowed in the kingdom. The marriage is there, gonna be one flesh.
Right.
If you can't get that together, you need to cut whatever the cancer is out.
Most definitely.
It out for 2 weeks and then y'all come back together, then it is what it is.
Right.
But there should be no game plan with this, or using the scriptures as weapons. We're not doing this lesson to give men ammunition against the women, or women ammunition against the man, because we're going to hit both sides of this. Right. There ain't no favoritism.
Not at all.
We're expressing one flesh. So there ain't no leaning toward one side.
Right.
There's rules about who you talk to in a marriage for a man, but the rules are still the same. You can't get into what he's saying about himself.
Right. Exactly.
You can't want to hear that.
Right.
Man, let me show you the text message of her and this. No, I can't see that.
Right.
That's gonna make me give a unfair or biased judgment on this. Judgment. All I'm asking you, with all that information you got, what are you gonna do?
Right.
What you gonna do?
What you gonna do about it?
Let me know. Go ahead, bro.
It makes sense, man. Verse 16.
For
what knowest thou, O wife, whether thou shalt save thy husband?
Didn't that what happened with Moses and Zipporah?
Mm-hmm.
See, Miriam lashed out at that.
Yeah.
You done married that Ethiopian woman that going against the laws of Israel, but she didn't got a clue that Zipporah saved Moses' life going to Pharaoh when she circumcised Gershon.
Yeah, otherwise Moses was going to get laid flat.
Going to get laid flat.
Yeah. Yep. Or how knowest thou, O man, whether thou shalt save thy wife? But as God have distributed to every man,
Right.
as the Lord hath called everyone. So let him walk, and so ordained I in all churches.
What he do?
So
Ordained.
ordained I in all churches. As is any man called, being circumcised, let him not become uncircumcised. Is any called uncircumcision, let him not be called circumcised. Circumcision is nothing, and uncircumcision is nothing, but the keeping of the commandments of God.
So it's not saying that it don't have no meaning. What it's saying, if it don't have no meaning, if it ain't about the Most High. You know what I'm saying? Here, take that, go ahead. So it has no meaning if it ain't about the Most High. You just wasting your time. If you just go get cut on,
Right.
or you turn back from this word and make yourself uncircumcised, I had a Hebrew man years ago and he drove me crazy. That's why I ain't got nothing to do with that. So you're saying I don't have to do with the laws of the of the Most High anymore.
Like getting baptized and coming out the water a wet sinner.
Right.
There's no point.
No, you can't give it back.
Right. Right. Verse 20. Let every man abide in the same calling wherein he was called. Art thou called being a servant? Care not for it. But if thou mayest be made free, use it rather.
So let's skip down, man. Cut through this because I want to hit a few more here. Y'all read all of that in your own time, but we're going down to verse 27.
Verse 27. Art thou bound unto a wife?
Y'all thought what?
Art thou bound?
No, I tell you what. Back that up to
23.
23.
Ye are brought with a price. Be not ye the servants of man.
Right.
Brethren, let every man wherein he is called therein abide with God.
Right.
Now concerning virgins.
Now, see, now we're getting into dealing with virgins.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I have no commandment of the Lord. Yet I give my judgment as one that hath obtained mercy of the Lord to be faithful. I suppose therefore that this is a good for the present distress. I say that it is good for a man so to be. Art thou bound into a wife?
See, it's asking the question, are you married?
Right.
Go ahead.
Seek not to be loose.
Seek not to be what?
Seek not to be loose.
Divorce. Go ahead.
Art thou loose from a wife? Seek not a wife. But if thou marry, thou have not sinned.
Thou hast not what?
Thou have not sinned.
Uh-huh.
And if a virgin marry, she have not sinned. Nevertheless, such shall have trouble in the flesh. But I spare you.
So we ain't talking about it's going to be squeaky clean.
No.
The marriage between Israel and the Most High wasn't squeaky clean.
At all.
Go ahead, bro.
He let you know, y'all, even though y'all wasn't flesh, y'all in moving in one unison, y'all still have your own minds.
Y'all still two individuals.
It's gonna be things y'all disagree on, but how you go about agreeing on that is what's gonna make you see if you following these laws or not.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Verse 29. No, verse 30.
No, you're 29.
Yeah, verse 29. But this I say, brethren, the time is short, and it remaineth that both they that have wives be as though they had none.
Right.
And they that weep as though they wept not. And they that rejoice as though they rejoice not. And they that buy as though that possess not. And they that use this world as not abusing it. For the fashion of this world passeth away. But I would have you without carefulness. He that is unmarried careth for the things that belong to the Lord, and he may please the Lord.
Read that again.
It says, he that is unmarried careth for the things that belong to the Lord.
Right.
How he may please the Lord.
Right.
But he that is married careth for the things that are of the world, how he may please his wife.
So this is what Paul was saying about the gift of chastity or celibacy.
Yeah.
That he's saying, look, if you ain't married, you ain't thinking about a woman, you gonna be always, the Lord is gonna always be on your mind.
Because you putting all your energy into it.
You put your energy into it, and this is why it breaks down to a bishop must be of one wife.
Right.
And this is not talking about, you can't use that scripture to say, see, this mean every man ain't a bishop. There's rules to become a bishop.
Right.
And there's a lot of things he gonna be doing in the church, but if he needs a wife, he can only have one. Right. He ain't gonna have time to maintain household and multiple wives. Go ahead, bro.
Put most of the energy into the Lord.
Right.
Makes sense. Verse 34. There is a difference also between a wife and a virgin.
Right.
The unmarried woman careth for the things of the Lord, that she may be holy both in the body and in spirit.
And we have this with a lot of single women that may have been in a relationship, and now they always go back to church.
Yeah.
They always talking about the Lord. I want the Lord to send me somebody. She's caring more about the things of the Lord. But soon as she find a man, church over.
Church over.
Class over.
Right.
They ain't coming back no more.
Like she went to
Friends
church.
ask her, ain't seen her since she hooked up with Rufus.
Sound like she went to church to find a man.
Right, absolutely. Go ahead, bro.
But she that is married careth for the things of the world, how she may please her husband.
Right.
And this I speak for you, and this I speak for your own profit. Not that I may cast a snare upon you, but for that which is comely, and that ye may attend upon the Lord without distraction.
Without what?
Without distraction.
See, your woman can't distract you from doing your work of the Most High.
Most definitely.
Adam tried to pull that stunt.
Yeah.
You know, because the Most High told him, he said, what did I command you?
It was that wicked woman you gave me, Lord.
What did I command you?
Straight up. When you done pointing fingers, what did I tell you to do?
That's the bottom line. He's like, I'll deal with them later.
Yeah.
What did I tell you? And he had to get answers.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Go ahead, bro. What verse you in?
Verse 36.
Okay.
But if any man think that he behaveth himself uncomely toward his virgin, if she pass the flower of her age, and need so require, let him do what he will. He sinneth not. Let them marry.
So, you know, if he behaves himself uncomely, if he done got to the point where he digging in places he ought not be digging,
Right.
you need to come on, and if you want it, you need to follow the rules to get it.
Right. And notice we're not saying rape nothing.
And not only this, but just like we was talking about, I'm only want to put the covenant in. Back in the day, we had another talk out there. Man, I'm the one that popped her cherry.
Right.
So you broke her virginity.
Right, but you ain't with her.
Ain't got no dowry sheets or nothing to
man.
present to the. But this was a badge of honor back in the day.
Right.
I'm the one that did that. So what does that mean to anybody else that what you've done to this virgin? And we're gonna hit a couple scriptures on that to say if you've done that, you have to marry this woman and you can't divorce her for the rest of her life till truly one of y'all are dead. If you done that to a virgin.
Yeah.
Go ahead, bro.
Verse 37. Nevertheless, he that standeth steadfast in his heart, having no necessity, but have power over his own will, and he have so decreed in his heart that he will keep his virgin, doeth well. So then he that giveth her in marriage
Talking about the father.
doeth well.
Uh-huh.
But he that giveth her not in marriage doeth better.
So go ahead.
It says the wife is bound by the law.
What is she bound by?
She's bound by the law.
So when they teach that the law is done away with, how then do they read this and they start quoting marriage laws?
Right.
If they done away with, you can't have no woman bound by the law.
Right.
See, so they can't have it both ways.
Right.
But they'll throw that at you and just say the laws are done away with.
Right.
So what law is she bound by
Right. If there is no law.
if there's no law?
Right.
Go ahead, bro.
Makes no sense. The wife is bound by the law as long as her husband liveth. But if her husband be dead, she is not at liberty to
She is
at liberty to be married to whom she will, only in the Lord.
So this is saying you can't go get a stranger. You have to, even if you're going to get remarried women, you have to get a man of the Lord so that spirituality stays intact.
Got to.
You know, but right here where it says she's bound by the law as long as her husband liveth. So the talk out there, we're going to get a little bit of that Romans 7 that gets in there. That means they think this means death do you part.
Right.
But death of a marriage is a divorce.
Right. Most definitely.
That kills the marriage.
Right. It's a divorce.
It cuts it off.
Yeah.
It's not living anymore. It's not a one flesh living. It's been cut off. The marriage is dead.
Right.
Abandonment meant marriage was over.
Right.
After a certain amount of times, if a man say I'm going to get a loaf of bread and you ain't seen him in 2 years.
Right.
And then when it gets to 7 years, it's abandonment.
Right.
It's laws for a woman to seek a divorce because she ain't had no protection in 7 years.
Right. That's just what happened.
It don't mean you can just y'all can go on separate and never come back together again. As long as he's still alive, he can't marry nobody or you can't marry nobody. After these due benevolences ain't met for a certain amount of time, the marriage is dead.
And you see, look, they implicate this in everything. Like I had moved. I moved and I left one of my trucks. Got the title, the certificate for my truck, but I left it at my whole old house. It was there for over 4 months. Went to check my mailbox, truck gone. Somebody took it.
Right.
Somebody took it because I abandoned it. So I went up to the tow truck and asked them, do y'all got the tow company? Do y'all got this woody wop wop truck? They say, yeah. It was abandoned, so we took possession of it.
No.
You know what I'm saying? And then they asked me, do you have the title or certificate? If you have the title certificate and you pay your dues for the storage, then you can get it back. So we even see that they do this. They do this same law with even your own other property.
They copy it from here.
Yeah. Crazy.
Well, yeah, you finished that last verse. Okay.
Verse 40. Verse 40. But she is happier if she so abide after my judgment, and I think also that I have the Spirit of God.
So, and this is what Paul said. He said, I'm only providing y'all a way to have peace in y'all house if it's possible. And he used the word if it's possible.
Right.
So we know that every occasion won't be possible. Right. You see somebody show up to work and he look like a tiger, got a hold of him, scratches on this side. She show up, black eyes on both sides, and trying to tell you she fell down the steps. On both eyes?
Right.
You know what's going on.
Right.
It's time to really seek some counsel.
Yeah,
if you have to separate for a while to see what's going to happen, say that you come back together. But y'all, once it get to the point where pistol play starting, ain't no need you putting up with that because the children gonna be homeless.
Right.
You going to the penitentiary, they going to the grave, or she going to the penitentiary and you going to the grave, and the children gonna be out here on their own.
Yeah, it's decision making time at that when it gets to stuff like that. Somebody gonna have to choose. Somebody gonna make a choice.
Let's hit that Ephesians 5, and then we're gonna move to a couple instances in here, and then we'll kind of speed it up, bro, and just kind of close out. I want to touch on the laws of polygamy as well as divorce and abandonment. I want to get right back into that, so that we get some clear understanding on. I tell you what, let's before we hit that, let's hit just a couple abandonment situations. Let's go to 2 Samuel, and this is about David and his concubines who were his wives. Go to 2 Samuel 20, start about verse 3.
Second Samuel verse 20.
Yeah, start about verse 3, yeah.
2 Samuel chapter 20 verse 3. And David called to his house. And David came to his house at Jerusalem. And the king took the 10 women, his concubines, who he had left to keep the house, and put them inward, and fed them, but went not into them. And went not in unto them. So they were shut up unto the day of their death, living in a widowhood.
Living in what?
Widowhood.
And see, the reason David did his 10 concubines like that, because his son Absalom went into all 10 of them women. David couldn't go back into them women after his son had did what he did. So, but David did an honorable thing. He put them inwardly and said, ain't nobody else gonna touch them, and he took care of them. But they lived their lives as widows. And what is a widow called? I mean, what does she get the title from? Her husband is what? Is dead. So David was literally dead to her, according to the law, because his son came in and broke that. And also we get into the Samuel where David had married Saul's, the first daughter he gave to him. And Saul got mad at David. He gave David's wife to another man.
Right, sure did.
After David got on his feet and the Lord was behind him 100, David came for that first wife. So how does that work with the law to say if a man married and she go from him and go be another man's wife, he can't take her back? No, that was that marriage wasn't solid. That marriage, because he took a woman who was still married to David. David had never gave her a divorce clause.
Right.
Now, the deal is, so she was never that man's husband. She just was with that man because her father pushed her to him after he run David off.
Right.
But David come back for his, and the man loved David's first wife and was following behind him, just like a puppy. David said, you better back on up. I done told you. What fun you had, that's the fun you had. But she coming back home. See, so that didn't violate that law because she was took illegally. And the Most High don't play no games like that. So David didn't violate that law by taking his wife back. Is it that Ephesians 5 and 21 we'll start, and this will back up more of that Numbers 30, y'all. And what we're showing is that men, the spiritual power you have in a relationship is, we just ain't got a clue about what these scriptures is stating. When you have the power to disavow a prayer,
Yeah, that's power.
but you want to use that in righteousness, not in wickedness, to rule over somebody. But you won't win that way because all they have to do is meditate. You won't hear nothing they
Won't hear
saying.
nothing coming out of their mouth because you're reflecting and talking to God at this time. So
But-
you ain't gonna hear no prayers or none of that.
But you hope that one flesh, you could say things like, the Most High be with you, husband, on your way out there. And you, Most High be with you, woman, on your way out the door. You know, those are vows, you know, that you're telling him on the way out. He could disavow and say, wonder what she up to. The
Right.
devil will jump right back in there.
Right. You not
What
saying
she up to? She ain't been this nice in a while.
Right.
Now you're too nice.
Right.
Which we found out means silly and stupid.
Yeah.
Go ahead, bro.
Ephesians 5, start 22.
Yeah, start about 22. Let me get that. And y'all, once again, no marriage counseling, just the laws was provided to us to deal with. And you see, Paul ain't went into no way how to caress her and do all of these
Nah.
things. He just say, do benevolence. Look up benevolence.
Right.
That'll tell you what to do. And see, this is the problem with all of these folly days that come up, like Valentine's Day and all these days. What they come up on you, they make you feel a guilt trip because you're looking at everybody else doing due benevolence on one day. You should never be made to feel guilty about having to do benevolence on one day.
Right.
If it was common practice in a relationship,
Right.
that would mean nothing because one day like that, a woman wouldn't even trip off of that.
Exactly.
And then once they understand what's the rose of Sharon, was the lily. It's on Solomon's temple. It was on the water barrels that they had outside the temple, the fresh water barrel. It was the lily. And if you women ever really understood or smell lilies, they have the whole house. It's a fragrance throughout the whole house.
I got some
They
growing
bloom
outside.
open, but roses don't want to take it on nothing else, you know, like that. But they have thorns on
Right.
on the stem.
Cursed.
When you do like this,
Cursed be the ground that you walk on.
so you may give them something and stick them there. Damn, man, the rose is nice, but why you didn't get the
Thorns and
stem
thistles.
cut?
Sound like thorns and thistles.
Make me sick.
Right.
And you standing there like this, damn, why I go through all of that?
Right.
I can't win.
And then, like, you know, not getting on the woman's head or nothing, but the woman have a short attention span anyway. Soon as you done spent all your money that day, if you dealing with a dragon, that's gonna change.
Yeah,
Next
that
day,
was
they
what you
got all about the Valentine's Day thing anyway.
What you got lately? What's happening? Them roses was yesterday. They'll be dead in 2 days. What you got today?
Right.
And if you find yourself in that position,
Right.
then work it out through these scriptures.
Right. 'Cause we
Ephesians
not
5, right.
Ephesians chapter 5, verse 22.
Now, one thing I will say, if you want to know about intimacy, get into the Songs of Solomon.
Yeah, most
because the man that had 1,000 women and the smell of mandrake was thick in the air gives instructions, so to speak, on how to get close. Don't go into detail like that, but if that's what you're looking for, that's what we'll refer you to.
Yeah. He
Songs of Solomon.
Right.
Go ahead, bro.
I'm gonna start at verse 21.
Okay, yeah, that's cool.
19.
That's good.
Ephesians chapter 5, verse 19. Speaking to yourselves in psalms and hymns and spiritual songs, singing and making melody in your heart. to
Doing
the
what?
Lord, and making melody in your heart.
Yeah, that's just how you be just walking around singing a tune.
Yeah.
You know, sing some positivity.
Right.
Go ahead,
In
bro.
the Lord, giving thanks always for all things unto God and the Father, and in the name of our Lord Jesus Christ, submitting yourselves one to another in the fear of the Lord.
What are you doing?
Submitting yourselves.
See, you're submitting yourselves to one another. It ain't like you giving up.
Right.
You know, you ain't becoming a cake, nigga.
Right.
No, you just submitting to, and all submit is, look, sometimes they gonna say things that you have to really look at.
Right.
If you ain't good at bill paying, ain't no need you talking about I'm the man, I'll pay the bill. Hell, if you pawn the TV to pay the cable bill, you shouldn't be paying bills.
Maybe that should be our job.
That should be her job because you
call her
still
let
ain't
her
watching
go.
TV.
Right.
Go ahead, bro.
And it makes sense though. It says, submit yourselves one to another in the fear of God. Wives, Submit yourselves unto your husband, or to your own husband.
To your own what?
Husband. As unto the Lord.
Right.
For the husband is not the head of it.
Read
For
that
the
again.
husband is the head of the wife.
What is he?
The head of the wife.
Right.
Even as Christ is the head of the church, and he is the savior of the body.
Right.
Therefore, as the church is subject unto Christ, so let the wives be in their own husbands in everything.
See, so in everything, subject to everything, like we are subject to everything for Hamashiach. You know, that's what we say we fighting for.
Yeah.
That's what we doing. So there's a mirror image of a chain of command that has to be seen the same way. The Messiah ain't dogging us out.
No, not at
He
all.
ain't hitting us upside the head.
No.
You know, he deals with us a certain way. You know, so if he say love your wives as he loved the church, then you really need to get into how he dealt with the church.
Yeah.
You know, and you'll see some positivity, blessings, and you will see some corrections.
Right,
Go ahead.
most definitely. 25. Husband, love your wives.
Do what?
Love your wives. Even as Christ also loved the church, and he gave himself for it.
So we understand love is the keeping of the law. So if you love them according to the law, you can't go wrong. The problem is we loving outside the law.
Yeah.
We making up rules as we go along.
That's what we have made up our own rules, man.
Go ahead, bro.
Verse 26. That he might sanctify and cleanse it with the washing of water by the word.
See, and that's what's going to make him sanctify and cleanse it. By the washing of the word. If you tell her, look, I don't want you reading that Bible no more.
Right.
That's going to be a problem because half of you don't know what the word is about.
Right. And then when y'all having problems and y'all do disagree about something, wash it with the word.
Wash it with the word.
Here go the measure stick right here. We both call it, you a woman of the Lord, I'm a man of the Lord. This thus says the Lord right here. You shouldn't have no problems doing what the word say to.
Absolutely.
At this point. That'll stop a lot of arguments too.
Stop a lot of it. See, because when you bring the word back in, it deals with the consciousness. No, look, well, I ain't got no time for that. You just said this about that.
Right.
You know, and you'll hear the conscience come into play and try to clean it up. Well, don't try to clean it up. Understand that the rules are being applied. And you don't have to do that as a weapon to put nobody down or have more scriptures than they have.
Right.
If you don't want them to learn this word, that's going to be a problem in your flesh. You're going to have a hole in your flank.
Right.
Because you're trying to make sure that it don't go nowhere. It's like I'll take blood pressure medicine so I don't have to stop eating pork.
Right. At this point, you bringing her.
You still got a problem.
You bringing her into bondage.
Right.
Bondage at this point. You don't want her to learn the word because if she do, it's some stuff that you ain't supposed to be doing.
Absolutely.
So now you trying to suppress her. Nah, you don't read that. I can teach you. Don't read by yourself. Why? If it's like, what are you hiding in these scriptures? This supposed to be open publicly, ain't it?
That's what it's supposed to be.
That's what I'm saying, man. We got
now it's a difference in, you know, you have to be careful because Titus tell us, let the elder women teach the younger women how to love their husbands. How do they do that?
Right.
They have to be able to first be loving their own husband before you can teach another one. But this is saying a woman can be taught who's married.
Right.
But it have to be these guidelines, and it lay out the guidelines for teaching somebody else's woman. But they say elder women how to love their husband. It's not how to combat him. Or if I was you, I'd go kick him right between his legs. You know, if he come in again at 3 in the morning. None of that teaching's in here.
Right. But it is teaching going on, though.
But it's teaching going on, y'all. So we have to understand those things because you see all throughout, like when Christ went to Lazarus' house, his sisters, you know, one tended to him. The other one was, you know, they had her getting the food ready. She got mad. Why I can't come in there and sit with y'all?
Right.
They like, look, little sis.
Right.
It's grown folk business. Earn what you got to do. And then come on in. You'll get in on the conversation, but it's work to be done for all around. Go ahead, bro. You gotta check that camera.
Yeah, let me check it real quick. Why was that? Ephesians 5?
Yeah, I think you're right about
27.
27, yeah.
Ephesians chapter 5, verse 27. That he might present it to be himself.
Read that again.
That he might present it to himself a glorious church, not having spot or wrinkle.
Not having what?
Spot or wrinkle.
Right.
Or any such thing, but that it should be holy and without blemish.
See, that's the way the church has to be. That's how one flesh has to be, holy without blemish.
Right.
See, if there's a blemish in there, if you arguing at one another all night, that's a blemish in there.
Right.
It's gonna be hard to be holy.
Right.
I'm not saying that problems ain't gonna be able to come up, but if you have to cuss each other out, if now personal secrets are told in the public, that's a problem.
Right.
Go ahead, bro.
And notice he said present itself without spot or blemish. So like when you not around and your wife out there, she's a representation of you.
Absolutely.
So if she get caught with her flank open or get caught off guard doing some things she not, they gonna automatically say that's such and such wife.
That's what they gonna say.
You know what I'm saying? They ain't gonna say. They ain't gonna put it on her. They gonna say that's such and such wife, and then vice versa. You out getting caught stanky leg and doing what you supposed to be doing. They be like, dang, ain't that what's the name husband?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So we gotta be making sure we training each other up and making sure we got each other backs. That way we ain't out here looking crazy.
Let every man examine himself and woman.
Most definitely.
Go ahead, bro.
Verse 28. So ought men to love their wives as their own body.
As their own what?
As their own
so
body.
how you look in the mirror after you done did some push-ups or pumping some iron?
Right.
And how you love that and do this? Yeah.
Right.
No, you need to be loving your wife like that.
Exactly.
Go ahead, bro.
He that loveth his wife loveth himself.
Loveth him what?
Loveth himself. For no man ever yet hated his own flesh, but nourisheth and cherisheth it, even as the Lord the church.
See, so you cherish it and nourish it.
Right.
You can't cherish what you are holding in bondage and down. It can't be nourished.
Right. Because look, when you nourish something, you know what happens to it, right? It grows. It grows. So it's a problem if you've been with your woman or you've been with your man for 4 years and y'all in the same position spiritually. Something is going on there. Y'all not growing. Marriage is growth.
That's what it is.
It started in the garden. Well, garden mean gan. That means where life spring forth. Something grows from this. Most definitely. Verse 30. For we are members of his body.
What are we members of?
Members of his body. Of his flesh. And of his bone. Sound like marriage.
Yeah, go back again.
For this cause shall a man leave his father and mother, and shall be joined unto his wife, and they two shall be one flesh. This is a great mystery. Right. But I speak concerning Christ and the church.
This is a great mystery because if you accomplish that in your household, that's why a deacon had to be, his household had to be tight.
Yeah, most definitely.
He couldn't have unruly children before he could come to the church and then teach the brothers. So what you practice at home where you at most of the time is going to be easy work at the church.
Because this is what you do. This is exactly, it ain't like this is a job for you. This is really what you do.
Right.
Yeah, really what you do.
So when you come out in public, it ain't no thing.
Ain't no faking.
Ain't no faking.
Yeah.
Go ahead, bro.
33. Nevertheless, let every one of you in particular so love his wife, even as himself.
As his what?
As himself. And the wife see that she reverence her husband.
And that she see that she reverence. So when they see that, they automatically compare that to like the reverend at the church. It's not saying that. It's the fact that you recognizing the head over you like we have to recognize the head over us. We got a lot of men out there now that won't recognize the head of Yahweh.
Most definitely.
They want to be 18-star generals. General titles of rabbi this and triple high priest that. They are not recognizing their head. They're disrespecting their head. So that's why it's so easy for them to talk about women like that because they disrespect their head.
You heard what they
disrespect Christ. Anytime you walk into a room and a bunch of men stand up and salute you, and this ain't no organized unit or structured unit. This a Negro in some thigh-high boots walk in and everybody stand up. And what the hell is a 18 shield general? Most general is 5 stars. We heard how he getting 18 all the way down to here. Where is that written in the scriptures anywhere?
Ain't reverencing their husband.
That's what's happening. And so it's a trickle down effect that is happening to them. And so the thing they say is, curse be you. But it's the same thing the Messiah gonna say, I never knew you. I don't know you. You don't know how to be married. How you think you gonna be married to me?
Sure ain't my wife. You ain't welcome to this son.
If I hated you and wanted to kill you every day, you wouldn't want to be married to me.
Makes sense. Makes sense.
You finished that up?
Yeah, that's dope.
Okay, so we'll get right into just a couple more quick on 1 Peter 3.
1 Peter 3.
Yeah, and Colossians 3:18. Then we'll just jump down and hit a couple things, and we'll show a couple examples of marriage in here and ceremonies and different things. And then we'll close out. We'll get into some Romans 1. These are concern areas about if a husband be still alive that people talk about, and that 1 Corinthians 6 where it says you should not be joined to a harlot. Okay. So we want to make sure that people not misunderstand. That ain't talking about polygamy, right. And we'll get that cleared up.
Okay, so 1 Peter 3, where you want me to start?
Yeah, start about verse 1. Let me see what that says. Let me get right there with you.
Yeah, we're going to have to start at 1. Likewise,
okay.
Ye husbands.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Go ahead.
All right, 1 Peter 3, 1 Peter chapter 3, verse 1.
Right.
Likewise, ye wives, be in subjection to your own husband.
Right.
That if any obey not the word, they also may without the word be won by the conversation of the wives.
See, so it's not an effect that you're being subjected in him to like you bowing down to him, so to speak. You're being in subjection so that you may win the conversation of everybody else. And they say, I think I can do marriage watching y'all.
Right.
Y'all got it like that. And then look, it's going to get to a point that where you going to get past. Even if you got 20 women, you're going to get to a point that where you ain't going to be able to man up no more.
Right.
Abraham was 99.
Right.
Sarah was 90.
So that means flesh go out the window at that point.
And look, he had all the money in the world. He could have been had young wives and all that, but he didn't think about that.
Right.
His wife he thought it was going to be Eliezer.
Right.
He never went there because once you get into this spiritually, and understanding the law is spiritual, just like there are laws for if a man have intercourse in his sleep. Right. Deuteronomy 23:10. Mm-hmm. He has to do what Leviticus 15 say about a man and go wash himself.
Yeah, and wash himself
and clean
properly.
himself and wash himself properly. But what was he thinking about in his sleep?
Right, that made him do that.
That made him do that. Not only this, but it's so supernatural. That's why the Messiah said, if you think to lust on a woman, you done it already. Because Satan is going to send an image of that woman in your dream that you lusting about, and it may be somebody else's wife.
Meaning you don't have to be inside no vagina to have sex.
And once you go off in your sleep in them soggy drawers, you going to be shamed.
Yeah.
But the deal is, that don't give you a pass. You got to get up and repent. And you're unclean. You got to wash yourself, just like it says, until evening. You emitted seed out.
Yeah.
And I want y'all to really think about this. Men, if you good by yourself, it take 2 to 5 minutes with your hand.
Right. Most definitely.
Clothes burning take a little while, but there's friction.
Right. In
the subconscious, you laying flat on your back. And it goes off.
That lets you know how real that spiritual.
How real it goes off with no friction.
Yeah, that's
boom.
Yeah, that's some real stuff.
That's mind control.
Yeah.
That's mental.
Yeah.
If you do that and you go all the way through in your dreams, you can't sin in your dream.
Meaning you can commit adultery
in your dream. Yeah. Because those are the night visions, and that's when the Most High say, I visit you in your dreams. I communicate you in your dreams. So most of the work is done while you sleep.
Right. So
of supernatural understanding and coming to yourself. If you're having a problem working on an event, you say, let me get some sleep, get some rest.
Let me sleep on it. Let me sleep.
Next thing you wake up, the problem is tackled real well, quickly.
Right.
Makes sense. In like manner, go ahead, bro.
Makes sense. Verse 2. While they behold your conversation coupled with fear,
right?
Whose adoring let it not be that outward adoring of plaiting the hair, and of wearing of gold, or putting on of a pearl.
So this don't mean for men you just have your woman looking like a rag hag.
Right.
No, because we see all throughout the scripture, we get into some Ezekiel 16, you'll see how the Most High had us dressed.
Right.
And we're going to get into some...
we was decked out.
We're going to get into some Genesis 24. We're going to see what Isaac offered for Rebekah. And it's going to let you know that it's not meaning that. It's just saying if you dress up like that to go catch a man, then you are violating the law, statutes, and judgment, because you have now become a man hunter. Right. It said don't fix yourself up like that, because the only man you're going to catch is demonic spirits. Right. And all these portals is open. They looking for women.
Yeah, most definitely.
And it's no coincidence the hair and the nails is the number one things that all these nations come here and get us in the hair shop, women, and at the nail shop, because the paring of nails and the cutting of hair brought you into a covenant if you was of another nation. But you will see constantly the hair is involved.
Right. That's deep too.
Yeah, it's very deep, and you see Jude backs it up as well.
Verse 4. But let it be the hidden man of the heart.
Let it be what?
The hidden man of the heart. And that which is not corruptible. Even the ornament of a meek is quiet spirit, which in the sight of God of great price.
Go ahead.
For after this manner, in the old time, the holy women also, who trusted in God, adorned themselves, being in subjection unto their own husbands. Even as Sarah obeyed Abraham, calling him Lord, whose daughters ye are, as long as ye do well, and are not afraid with any amazement.
Right.
Likewise, ye husbands, dwell with them according to the knowledge, giving honor unto the wife.
Giving what?
Honor unto the wife, as unto the weaker vessel, and as being heirs together of the grace of life, that your prayers be not hindered.
See, you can't hinder the prayers by arguing at each other every day, because you're going to be, I disavow that, Lord.
Right.
Well, I won't say it loud no more. I bet you won't disavow the next one. See, you can't have that.
Because then it's not, now you're hiding stuff from each other.
Now you're hiding stuff from each other. Secrets going to abound, and we know what that leads to. Now you're telling all of each one's secret out publicly. And see, in this when the script talk about vile affections, a lot of time people ask, what can you do in the bedroom chambers? That ain't for us to decide. The script say no vile affection. And the only thing we can conclude based off of what that means is that if y'all break up and you talk about what y'all was doing in the bedroom and it's a stain on him or it's a stain on her, then y'all been into vile affections.
Right.
Because if you have to tell that when you break up, then y'all been part of something you know.
Something ain't supposed to be going on.
Ain't supposed to be going. Maybe y'all was getting too freaky. And when you look up freaky, it says of the abnormal. So if you said be careful when you say, baby, let's get freaky tonight. See, you want to be certain that you don't put that out on Facebook for everybody to see y'all freakiness. Because if you tell it about him, hell, you was participating.
You participate too.
Man, it's crazy. Go ahead, bro.
And it's crazy how y'all really be putting all that out there on mass media like that too.
She got all this. She's no good, this and that. And then 30 days later, y'all hugged up again.
Back together.
And she pregnant a month after that. And it starts all over again. Go ahead, bro.
Verse 8. Finally, be ye all of one mind.
How many minds?
One mind. Having compassion one of another. Love as brethren. Be pitiful, be courteous. Not rendering evil for evil or railing for railing.
You kiss my donkey. You kiss my donkey. Go ahead.
But contrary-wise blessing, knowing that ye are thereunto called, that ye should inherit a blessing.
You can hold right there. So we just want to see hit that Colossians 3:18, and then we just move into a couple right here, and we get ready to wrap this up. I wanted to just get into the divorce part, and not saying that we in no way, shape, form promoting that when we know a kingdom is everlasting. We're just telling you, for you to get there, you may have to be like Paul and the Messiah was in the kingdom.
Most definitely. We got to keep reminding ourselves, Christ said himself, in the beginning, divorce wasn't so. It wasn't so. Like we can't read. Once you make a vow like that, we can't be looking for an out game. You know what I'm saying? We can't be looking for a way out. You married this woman. You're one flesh. You ain't, you know what I'm saying? You're one flesh at this point. But then you get in a scripture where he said it's better to enter into the kingdom maimed without the arm. You know what I'm saying? If that arm,
then the whole body.
Then the whole body. So if she like that one arm that's so wicked that's keeping you from the kingdom, or if he like that, then that's a different story.
That's talking about graveyard love.
That's graveyard.
Both of us gonna die today.
No.
It's gonna be a suicide packed up in there.
See, that's something totally different.
How you gonna sleep like that?
You can't. You can't say, I'm gonna blow your brains out if you come back tonight.
Right.
I ain't coming home tonight.
You better not go to sleep.
Oh, well, I won't sleep here.
Right.
I won't
Right.
be here.
And we know what else that gonna lead to.
Right.
But Colossians 3:18, bro.
Colossians 3:18.
In 19, yeah.
Colossians chapter 3, verse 18. Wives, submit yourselves unto your own husband.
Do what?
Submit yourselves unto your own husband, as it is fit in the Lord. Husband, love your wives.
Do what?
Love your wives. And be not bitter against them. And be not bitter against them. Children, obey your parents in all things, for this is well pleasing unto the Lord.
So when you see that they see y'all together, they mind is straight.
Right.
You don't argue in front of them like that, and you say some things about your child's mother that you gonna regret.
Right.
You know, you use the children as a weapon. You know, your mama ain't nothing. Look, Saul did that.
Right.
With Jonathan's mother, cause he called her a woman of the street, but he had his way with her first.
Right.
He said the only reason you dubbed David like that is because your mama was a whore. I should have left the club that night.
Right.
But I picked up your mama and had by you, and now you love David more than your daddy. Blame that on the woman.
Right.
That he had.
That's crazy.
Instead of talking about his own wickedness for going to the soothsayer.
And we got to make sure we watch that too, like arguing in front of our children.
That's a terrible thing.
And talking about one another while we ain't around in front of the children, around our friends and stuff. Like Dan was saying, don't come to us. If you come to us and ask for advice, we don't need to know the personal things that went down. Because we ain't gonna do nothing but take y'all back to the law anyway.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? All our opinions are gonna be non-biased. So I don't want to know exactly what he or she did from point A to point B. That's none of my concern.
Right. And you telling it ain't gonna help the matter, because know what you gonna be doing. Look, because if you come telling, we know where your mindset anyway. Exactly. Your mindset ain't on the problem at hand. What about them children? What's the plan for you and them children? Right. That's what I need to hear. I'm not trying to hear about what you keep saying about her. And I know you're gonna be back in 30 days.
Right. What you say, Dan? Okay, so what you gonna do now? That's all.
What you gonna do, man? What's your plan?
What's your plan? For real. Makes sense. Where we at now?
We're going right to let's get into some understanding of polygamy. We ain't gonna tarry long on it. We're just gonna hit a couple scriptures that explain it. Exodus 21 and 10, and we're gonna move on because everybody understand this. You know, if you're in a righteous polygamous marriage and you got what it takes, you know what the rules is saying. Right. If you convince anybody that you can do it opposite of this, you're sadly mistaken, because that ain't nowhere written in the script. Each one of Jacob's wives had their own tent. That's how Reuben was able to slip in on Bilhah. Right. And the rest of the wives didn't see it. Right. You think they would have stood there and just say, ooh, look at Reuben, he ain't no good. No, an angel told Jacob what he had done. And Jacob didn't go into Bilhah no more either. Just like David did.
Yeah, a lot of them honored that code.
Because Reuben had become a MFer. And he uncovered his father's nakedness.
And he never touched her again.
And he was cursed in the loins for 7 years. Yeah. If y'all want to read about it, check out some testament of the 12 tribes. Check out what happened with Reuben. Yeah. He'll break it off. Yeah. For 7 years, he was sore in the loins.
And Most High gave him so much pain, he never laid with nobody else after that.
It was a terrible thing. 1 Corinthians 5 talk about it. Where you at, bro?
Exodus 21.
Yeah, let's go to Exodus 21 and 10. And then we're going to hit Proverbs 27, 27. Right. We're just going to hit on a couple on these. And we're not giving these scriptures for anybody to use as ammunition. We're giving these scriptures so that if you choose to do that, at least you know what the rules are laid out before you get into this. Right. You can't get into this and say, I want to multiply so I can put these women out and they keep all them go to work and I'm sitting at home. You can't have 10 women at work and you sitting at home in the same house.
No, that don't sound right at all.
That's just a conscious, you're conscious of your Israel, but you're a pimp.
You're a pimp at this time.
It's plain and simple. You can't gather so you can go pimp. Jacob came from the field. Right. And his wives dealt with him. He came from work, but we'll hear a little bit of that.
And you can't be having multiple wives and you barely taking care of one.
Yo, and you can't buy yourself a pair of drawers.
What you say man stand for again?
Man stand for meeting all needs. A righteous man. He's going to meet the needs. That's why the Most High say, I give y'all need. I know what you need before you ask for. He don't say, I know what you want. He says, I know what you need way before you ask for it. We about to run out of time. Okay, all right. So just hit a little bit of this Exodus 21 and 10. Then we'll hit a little Proverbs 27. We'll move through this. Got a couple more scripts, y'all. We'll be out of here.
Okay. Book of Exodus chapter 21 verse 10. If he take him another wife.
If he do what?
Take him another wife.
And see, this is a if.
Right.
So it's not a commanded deal. Right. It's a choice.
Right.
Go ahead. But if you do that, go ahead.
Her food, her raiment, and her duty of marriage shall be not diminished.
It shall not be what?
Diminished.
So you can't back off.
Right.
If you go get another.
Right.
Look. I bought a pair of shoes. Now you wear them Monday through Wednesday, and you can wear them Saturday through Sunday.
Nah.
No, you got to come home with 2 pairs of shoes.
Right. Straight up. Yep. Don't keep reading or you want me to go to this proverb.
Yeah, that's good. Hold on, what else is saying on that?
It says, and if he do not these 3 unto her, then shall she go out free without money.
You see that? Yeah. So what's happening is you can't afford this.
You can't.
You can't afford this.
When they called female, it comes with a fee.
It come with a fee.
Makes sense.
You can't afford this. This ain't in your. This not saying you can't have a woman, but if you can't do what you need to do, and it says if you do it, check the rules first. Am I capable of doing this?
Right.
Not only for this to all 3 of us is dead,
right?
Or 4 of us is dead. Can I maintain?
And this lets you know consciously if they doing that, knowing that they can't maintain, then it's not for spiritual purpose.
No.
The benefits is for the lust of the flesh.
That's all it is.
All it is.
And then you'll have 3 or 4 women that's mad at you because you can't produce. You know, you 2 or 20 minutes on this one, and you ain't got nothing but dog water left for this one. It's gonna be anger up in there, ain't it? And then you in the same house.
And you not providing. So now the due benevolence ain't there. Plus the raiment and the food ain't there.
What's gonna be there?
All because you running off of flesh and lust and not trying to do this spiritual marriage after the order of Melchizedek.
Right.
One flesh.
And this is thought process, you know, because Messiah say, I'm going to judge you by the intent of your heart. So let's not get it twisted because the law say if a man take another one. The deal is the intent of your heart, what you want with another one. Right. Yeah, I'll fix it. I'm gonna bring another one up in here on her.
Right.
She gonna get straight behind this.
Right.
No, you can't play games like that with the intent of the heart.
Right, makes sense.
That's what he gonna judge. You gonna have to answer the question, where'd you go get another one for?
Right.
And you got suspenders on your drawers now. They so old, all elastic gone. Right. What you need with another one?
Right.
You got to answer them questions.
And 9 times out of 10, knowing how Hebrews be thinking, it's for a lustful, pleasurable reason. It's not even,
what it is.
It's not even for it to add on to the household or to add on to the spiritual business and covenant. It's for you to do what you want to do with that covenant that you got in your pants.
That's it.
And that's wrong. And like again, we not bashing, we not being one-sided. We just stating the truth for it.
The law of marriage. They don't make us cake niggas
at all. They don't make us cake niggas at all.
It make us true to ourselves and understand this. If this ain't for you, leave a woman alone.
Hey, flat out.
We know personally.
Yeah. And look, Paul said it himself. It is good.
Men that's practicing it.
We know
our partners.
So we speaking from seeing the experience on other people. So we not just this lesson ain't came out of thin air for no reason. You know what I'm saying? So we talking to those. So for those that need to hear this, hear it out. You know what I'm saying? These are the laws and stipulations on being one flesh. And that's just what it is.
Yeah. So we got that. Let's hit that Proverbs 27:27.
Proverbs 27.
Yeah, and these are all the ones we gonna hit on that because it's all the ones we need to hit on this because it's clear, it's self-evident. You know, even if you had a slave woman and you took her to wife back in the day, and it wasn't like the slaves like we were, it was what we would call a maid or a maid woman. Or, you know, if you decided, okay, I'm gonna take her to wife, you still can't diminish. If your first wife don't have children and this next, even a slave woman or your servant woman, I should say, an indentured servant, a maid around the house, she have a child, his and her is supposed to still go to that child. It don't matter that this woman was first. The rules are the rules.
The rules don't change. Rules don't change.
Proverbs 27:27.
Proverbs chapter 27, verse 27. And thou shalt have goats, milk enough for thy food, for the food of thy household.
For the food of thy what?
Household. And for the maintenance for thy maidens.
See, for thy maidens and for the maintenance.
Yeah.
Maintenance is their time women gonna come to a monthly period. There has to be stuff in the place. If they can't get it, you got to provide that.
Yeah, because they can't go against the laws of Leviticus 15.
Right.
They got to be able to clean up. They got to be separated.
And something very important you said earlier, you was talking about before Adam and them came into the garden, because they were born of the earth. It was the same process of a woman child. They didn't bring her into the garden for 80 days.
Yeah, and I wanted to
And they brought Adam in for 40 days.
Yeah.
You know, just like the process of the law.
Right.
So ain't nothing changed in the law. They were just born of virgin earth, like the Messiah was born of a virgin woman.
I'm glad you said that. Let me read that real quick.
Go ahead, bro.
This is a book of Jubilees, chapter 3, starting with verse 8. It says, in the first week, Adam was created, and also the rib his wife. And in the second week, he showed her to him. And therefore the commandment was given to observe 7 days for a male, but for the female twice 7 days in their impurity. What Dan was just speaking on. And after 40 days was completed for Adam in the land where he was created, we brought him into the Garden of Eden, so that he might work it and guard it. In the 8th day, his wife was brought also in. And after this, she entered into the Garden of Eden. Therefore, the command was written in the heavenly tablets for one who bears. If she bears a male, she shall remain 7 days in her impurity like the first 7 days. In 33 days, she shall remain in her blood of purity, and she shall not touch anything holy, and she shall not enter into the sanctuary until she have completed these days which are in accord with the rule for a male child, and that which is in accord for the rule for a female is 2 weeks, like the first 2 weeks in her impurities. In 66 days she shall remain in her blood for her purity, and their total will be 80 days.
How many days?
80 days.
So you see, this is lining right up with Leviticus 15, like how it's supposed to.
Man, I'm telling you.
You know, so these are spiritual understanding, scriptures that deal with the consciousness, y'all. You're going to get to the point that where you may be 60 years old and you still together, and ain't none of that activity. You remembering the days we used to have together like that. And you give a kiss, but your mind is different from that now.
Right. So look, they thinking this is straight Levitical law that was just given to Moses out of thin air, but this was going down in the garden.
In the garden.
In the garden, these laws is already here.
Yeah.
Already here.
See, and that was to present her as a chaste virgin coming into the garden. Like he said, Eve was supposed to be, but she tripped.
Yeah.
See, and that's what the Messiah is saying. We can't have spot or wrinkle this church. Y'all, if you got a better half and there's a spot or wrinkle with you, you may not be part of the body. Y'all gonna have to iron that you're gonna have to wipe that spot out and iron that wrinkle out.
Yeah, most definitely.
You can't come into this, and y'all, most of this was assembly talk. What you do at your home is your business. What we talking about is what you bring around the assembly that will exemplify what's happening in your home. That's what the church is supposed to be about.
Right. And this is how serious it is too, Dan. Like, it was to the point where Passover came around, they went through thousands and thousands of lambs. If they found one hair off,
one off,
they kicking it out. So this what he mean by presenting it without spot or wrinkle. It can't be blemished at all. And this is how we supposed to be training up each other when we in this spiritual marriage, because we can't go to the Father like dirty and impure.
And impure. Look, you got some stuff hanging on. You know, you and her into it, but you come to class regularly and y'all sitting there, both of y'all, you know, looking like y'all is sucking on a lemon with a vinegar chaser. Both y'all mad like this.
Don't want to be by each other.
Right, and that's going to create a problem.
Yeah.
So y'all, we're talking about the assembly. And for not forsake the assembly. Let's hit this last one on. I know you hit that. We hit that Proverbs 27:27, but the kicker hit that 1:10, 5 and 8. That also goes to both abandonment and, you know, what your duties are inside this household. And we're not talking about bad times can't happen. But we're going to see some examples that when it did, the woman knew what she was supposed to be and kicked in.
Right.
Because we see their attack on men.
Right.
See, they're attacking us, and then we attack our women.
Right. Yep, and that's the crazy part.
And then in turn, the women attack us back because they got the system behind them.
This is like a vicious cycle. You go bang with the white man all day at work. You come home, you bring all these problems into the household. Then you beat her up in the spirit.
Yeah.
Now she beat you back up in the spirit. You back out beating up the white man again. Ain't nobody happy. Ain't nothing. It's being unfruitful at this point. It's an unfruitful marriage, all because y'all not going with the stipulations and guidelines that God gave us on this spiritual marriage.
Right.
Makes no sense.
Go ahead. I was just going to hit right at 1 Timothy 5:8. We can hit there, but I don't know. See how you want to look at 1 through 8.
Yeah, let's do 1 through 8.
Okay.
First, let me check this camera.
Okay.
We in 1 Timothy, y'all. Oh yeah, we good. 1 Timothy chapter 5, verse 1. Rebuke not an elder,
Right.
but entreat him as a father, and the younger man as brother.
This don't mean you cannot chastise an elder or break him off like he's supposed to do, but rebuke is harsh.
Right.
But if it's an elder in a church that say, don't forget, don't get beside yourself, a younger man, you can't grab an elder. And it's talking about an elder, a man that's in the church. It ain't talking about nobody outside of this. So you can't, as a younger man, attack violently. You'll see like the way Timothy played it,
Right.
the way Elihu in the book of Job played it when the older man was giving Job advice and he sit back and listen. He said, I listen to y'all because I was supposed to. Y'all was elder. He didn't rebuke him, but he said, let me tell y'all what the Lord is really talking about.
Right.
And at the end of Job, you see the Lord called those two men out. He said, y'all better go repent, offer up some sacrifice, give some sackcloth, or I'm going to put you to death. Elihu has spoken right. And this was a young man.
Right.
So we ain't talking about elders in a sense that you have to obey because they older or they been in the word longer. It say if they been in the word and they been on it, you may have to say, come on, elder brother, you know that ain't cool, but you can't go to him like you doing a young man.
Right. It's chess, not checkers.
Right.
Yeah.
Go ahead, bro.
Most definitely. Verse 2. The elder women as mothers, the younger as sisters, with all purity.
Right.
Honor widows that are widows indeed.
That stuck it out with their husband died.
Yeah, but they
But that's the only man they know, like we read about Susanna.
Yep.
Young, beautiful woman. Susanna, y'all read the book of Susanna in the Apocrypha, and y'all understand exactly what happened with her.
Right.
Go ahead.
Verse 4. But if any widow have children or nephews, let them learn first to show piety at home.
Right.
And to requite their parents. For that is good and acceptable before God.
See, and you saying if she got nephews, and a lot of times you'll see that around a widow. They go in and check on auntie or mama. You know, go ahead, read on.
Verse 5. Now she that is a widow indeed, and desolate, trusteth in God, and continueth in supplication and prayers night and day.
And that's what you see. Your grandfather died, your grandmama's in the book.
Right.
Night and day. You know, the least thing on her mind is talking about get another man in here and do what?
Right.
Huh?
And then it be 15, 18 years they was together. Come on now. Verse 6. But she that liveth in pleasure is dead while she liveth.
So if that's all you thinking about is sex all the time.
Right, you dead while you liveth.
Go ahead.
Verse 7. And these things give in charge, that they may be blameless.
Right.
They're blameless again. But if any provide not for his own.
If any do what?
Provide not for his own. And especially for those of his own house.
See, that's it. Especially for them in your house.
I got detail.
Go ahead.
And have denied the faith, and is worse than an infidel.
See, so it says he's denied the faith and is worse than an infidel. You have to take care of home first. Yeah. This is the problem with Sunday doctrine as well, where they teach you must come here at tithe and your home get left.
Right.
Abandoned.
Right.
You know, should I pay my tithes or should I pay the light bill? And they cutting it off tomorrow.
Right.
Girl, don't worry about that. Get them tithes up. The Lord gonna provide. Watch and see. The electric man ain't gonna come by there.
Don't be simple.
No. It's gonna be a lot of candles.
Yeah, a whole lot.
So
and a lot of argument. Now
yeah.
you really gonna really hear the it's gonna be some disruptions in the marriage.
Absolutely. Let's hit a couple. Y'all, we just kind of going through stages. We just hit the little polygamy deal and making sure you take care of your household. Now we just want to do a couple marriages that we see in here that were public knowledge. And y'all, and this is what we talking about. We ain't saying you got to have a big old fancy wedding and what they saying 2 paychecks and all of that stuff. What we're talking about is, are you able to meet the needs of a husband for a wife? If you ain't, this ain't for you.
Right.
You can't play house in this.
Mm-hmm. So where you want to go?
Let's go to Genesis 24:51. And y'all, we would get to Abraham marriage and different things, but we're gonna save them for the divorce side. Like I say, we don't want to keep regurgitating milk to you. Most of y'all already know this. We are just getting into the law of it. That's going to stop a lot of this talk on Facebook, because what you see polygamy talk out there, but you never see the scriptures or the instructions for polygamy. It's just conversation going back and forth.
Right.
So it's name calling back and forth. Mm-hmm. You know, y'all just this, y'all just hobos, or man, you women ain't nothing but gold diggers. So how do y'all expect to come together?
Right.
Who gonna give in?
Exactly. There's no understanding of the law of marriage in the Bible. Yeah, most definitely. Genesis 24, we're gonna start at
Started right about 51.
Genesis 24.
Yeah, we're gonna get right to the heart of the matter.
Book of Genesis, chapter 24, verse 51.
Yes, sir.
Behold, Rebekah is before thee. Take her and go, and let her be thy master's son's wife.
So this is Eliezer, the spirit was telling him, this is Rebekah, this who Abraham sent you to get for his son Isaac. This, that Rebekah. Y'all back it up and read where you need to, but this is what that's going into. Go ahead.
As the Lord has spoken, and it came to pass that when Abraham's servant heard their words, he worshipped the Lord, bowing himself to the earth.
Right.
And the servant brought forth jewels of silver.
What did he bring forth?
Jewels of silver and jewels of gold and raiment, and gave them to Rebekah.
What did he do?
And gave them to Rebekah.
So Abraham's servant come with dowry,
right,
to tell that I can take care of you.
Right.
I can be responsible for you. Jewels of gold, right, and we more concerned about a ring.
Right.
Well, it's a circle, and it means this. If you make a covenant with a ring for your marriage, then that's what it is.
Right.
These are just tokens of appreciation, due benevolence that you may exchange. You don't have to have them.
Right.
But we see here that there's gifts given out.
Right. Notice he came with him. It wasn't no problem.
It wasn't no problem.
Later on down the line, I got this for you. You came like, look, I can take her.
You right.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
He gave also to her brother and to her mother precious things.
Right.
And they did eat and drink. He and the man that were with him, and tarried all night. And they rose up in the morning, and they said, send me away unto my master.
So they were having an engagement party.
Definitely. That's exactly what
this is, like. I'm here, we here for your daughter.
Right.
And in Israel, there were arranged marriages.
Yeah.
But it's something very important here that I want to make mention of too as we go along. Go ahead.
Verse 55. And her brother and her mother said, let this damsel abide with us a few days, at the least 10. After that, she shall go.
See, and this is what they're saying. Look, you come to get our daughter. Right. We need to. You just popped up.
Right, we got to depart. Let's
look. At least let us find some more out about you. Tell us some more about your master. We know Abraham. Come on, tell us a little bit more about Isaac before we just turn her loose.
Right.
Go ahead.
And he said unto them, hinder me not, seeing the Lord had proposed my way. Prospered my way. Send me a way that I may go to my master. And they said, we will call the damsel and inquire at her mouth.
Right.
And they called Rebekah and said unto her, wilt thou go with this man? And she said, I will go.
See, and she's already looking at it too. She understands I'm a female.
Like, I'm out of this.
See, I see what's coming for me, but it wasn't like she was just out of the blue, so to speak. There was a prophecy that if you see her, if she has hospitality, if soon as you get there, she offer you and your beast something to drink. Right. That's the one we looking for.
Right.
Because we see what we're looking for now, one that already has been trained up how to reverence her husband.
Definitely.
Go ahead, bro.
And that show a lot to do with her father and her mother.
Absolutely.
Also she brought up in. Yeah. And they sent away Rebecca, their sister, and her nurse, and Abraham's servant, and his man. And they blessed Rebekah and said unto her, Thou art our sister.
Right.
Be thou the mother of thousands and millions, and let thy seed possess the gates of those which hate them.
Let thy what?
Seed
a woman? Is this talking about a woman?
Talking about a woman. Possess the gates of those that hate them. And Rebekah arose and her damsel, and they rode upon the camels. Look at that. That's how you know about the riches too. They rode upon the camels, not asses, but camels. And followed the men, and the servants took Rebekah and went his way.
Right.
And Isaac came from the way of the well
Lahari man, need Mally to or Al Ben Israel. That was good. Go ahead.
For he dwelt in the south country, and Isaac went out to meditate in the field at the 11th tide.
In the evening tide. So you see, that's the evening prayer. He keeping, now look, this is way before Mount Sinai.
Way before, man.
He keeping the evening prayer.
Meditating.
The prayer before sundown, which takes you into another day. Go ahead.
In that twilight.
Yeah.
And he lifted up his eyes and saw, and behold, the camels were coming. And Rebekah lifted up her eyes, and when she saw Isaac, she lifted off.
She lighted off. Hey man, jumped off of her quick. That's him.
Hey, that's how Abigail was.
Boy,
she lighted off the camel. For she had said unto the servant, What man is this that walketh in the field to meet us? And the servant had said, It is my master. Therefore she took a veil and covered herself.
So she getting right into the mode of understanding. So she's taught from a young age how to present herself to a man.
Straight shamefaced.
Go ahead.
And the servant told Isaac all things that he had done. Isaac brought her into his mother Sarah's tent, and took Rebekah, and she became his wife, and he loved her. And Isaac was comforted after his mother's death.
So Isaac now was comforted again, because the only woman he ever loved was his mother Sarah.
Right.
So he got comfort now. And see, he didn't take her into Abraham's tent. He took her to his mother's tent, because his mother died when they went to slay, not to slay Isaac, to offer him as a sacrifice on the altar.
Right.
So, and Isaac was 37 years old at this time. This 3 years later, so Isaac is 40 years old when Rebekah came. Right. Now, you get into the book of Jasher and you see some of this, what I want to say, one is very important, that Rebekah, it says that she was 10 years old at this time. So, is Tahar doctrine coming into play? No, because the key words was her nurse went with her.
Right.
See, a nurse was like a big mama in these scriptures. And you know, when we get into some Isaiah 49, Isaiah 59, where kings shall be your nurse and father and mother. They're talking about grown people taking care or making sure everything goes perfect. So when her nurse went with her, she knew what time, how old she had to be before Isaac. Isaac just didn't take a 10-year-old in the tent. It would have been too much for her.
Right.
He 40 years old and he ain't had a woman yet.
Right.
He'd have killed her.
Right.
But her nurse went with her, and this nurse was well liked by the Messiah so much, and the Father, that she even was the nurse in all of the tribes of Jacob. And guess Naphtali really loved her.
Right.
When you get into the Testament of the 12 tribes, you see that when they buried her in a special place. This same nurse, she was like the big mama of the tribe. She made sure, no, Isaac, she ain't ready yet.
She's straight big mama of Israel.
She ain't ready yet, even though it was arranged marriage. You married at an age like that, but you didn't consummate that marriage. That was an arranged promise marriage. When she came to full age, and I'm talking about groomed like this, Big Mama took care of her and she nursed her, and then Isaac had her and was able to have children like she did. But this wasn't a 10-year-old deal going up into the tent like that and he having his way. No, it wasn't that. They parents didn't sell her to Isaac and them, so to speak, you know, for a few clothes and jewels. And also when you get into Jasher, it'll break down how much all that jewelry weighed. I'm talking about 17 shekels was the weight of them bracelets.
So Easter egg brought some pounds of
Oh man, it was the real deal. Okay.
Where you want to get at now?
Okay, we hit that right there. Just wanted to show that. Let's show another one as far as down concern. Let's hit Genesis 29 and 18. And then I just want to hit just a couple on marriages outside of Israel in another kingdom, because there's a lot of talk that the state comes into you and makes a third party religion. Marriage is universal. Right. It always been. Right. It's the law. It's like murder is universal. Every nation on earth know that if somebody committed murder, it's no statute of limitations for it. So marriage is the same way. It's just that how people have different customs when you come into the land. Like Abraham was concerned about Egypt because how beautiful Sarah was. He said, they take men's wives. Right. But when the Most High struck Pharaoh's hand, he knew I'd have crossed the line. It didn't have to be from a custom like that. He knew that's your wife.
That's your woman. Most definitely.
That's your woman. Mm-hmm. Where we at? Let's hit that Genesis 29:18.
Genesis chapter 29. Verse 18.
Yeah, and we ain't saying like a dowry. You may not have a dowry, but you got a strong back and some stout loins that you can go to work.
Right. Genesis 29 verse 18. It says, and Jacob loved Rachel and said, I will serve thee 7 years for Rachel, thy younger daughter.
How long he gonna serve?
7 years.
Look, 7 years before you even come close to it.
Talking about working for something, boy.
Working for something.
Verse 19. And Laban said, it is better that I give her to thee than that I should give her to another man.
Right.
Abide with me. And Jacob served 7 years for Rachel. And they seemed unto him but a few days.
How long did they sing?
But a few days.
7 years. Look, we can't wait a week. You already begging in the car on the way home.
And they let you know his mind state too. It says, but it seemed only a few days. That means he was happy to serve to get this woman.
Right.
It says, for the love he had to her. Verse 21. And Jacob said unto Laban, give me my wife.
What'd he say?
Give me my wife. For my days are fulfilled, that I may go unto her. And Laban gathered together all the men of the place and made a feast. And it came to pass in the evening that he took Leah, his daughter, and brought her to him. And he went into her.
So at this point, he done switched brides.
Right.
Now he got Leah in there instead of Rachel. They were twins.
Right.
You get into the book of Ash, a lot of people say because it said Rachel had weak eyes, her eyes was not as sparkly as Rachel's were.
Right.
But she still had a beautiful form. When you get into the book of Jasher, it'll explain that. So they were twins built just alike. The only thing that set them apart was the sparkly eyes. Right. Go ahead.
And Laban gave unto his daughter Leah Zilpah, his maid, for a handmaid.
Right.
And it came to pass that in the morning, behold, it was Leah. And he said to Laban, what is this thou hast done unto me?
Yeah.
Did not I serve with thee for Rachel?
Right.
Wherefore then hast thou beguiled me?
See, so now he's got Jacob in a trick bag. Right. What are you going to do? The law say you can't marry sisters.
Right.
This is an issue right here.
Right.
You're not supposed to marry sisters because you vexed their parents.
Right.
So he's got a dilemma here, but he's been tricked. Why is it tricked? Because him and his mama tricked Isaac.
Right, most definitely.
It's payback after all this time. The Lord will pay you back when he see fit to pay you back.
We see it right here. Verse 26. And Laban said, it must not be so done in our country to give the younger before the firstborn.
So what is he stating here? In this country, this how you get married.
Yeah, he's stating the laws of his country.
So let's see what he did.
It says, fulfill her week, and we will give thee this also for the service which thou shalt serve with me yet 7 other years.
So we see that he ended up serving him 20 years.
Man.
20 years.
That's crazy.
For the first wife that he wanted. But he ended up having multiple wives, which he didn't want off the top to be. He was wanting Rachel.
All he wanted was Rachel.
Look, and he worked for 7 years. They say they would sport out in the field, do a little courting, but it wasn't no intercourse for 7 years. Look, we can't even hold out the 7 monthly days of separation.
Right.
Girl, you still...
Right. But you see what
you gonna die. You been bleeding how many days now?
You see what he said though? It says, and Jacob said to Laban, give me my wife.
Right.
For my days are fulfilled that I may go in unto her.
I paid my dowry.
He said, I paid my dowry. Where my woman
see,
at?
when you get into the book of Jasher, they having a wedding feast under their customs. And they were saying, hey la, and he didn't know what it was. He said, well, that's just a custom of the people. But when y'all get through hey lon, I'm finna have Rachel.
He say, when y'all get done, that's all me.
And that's what happened. They extinguished the lights on her. But this was the custom of that land, and the marriage still was valid in every other nation in the world that they went through.
Right.
Those were recognized as Jacob White in that country. So it's letting you know that you can go to another country. Marriage is universal.
Right, most definitely.
This ain't got nothing to do with a third party coming in and they part of your marriage. This ain't got nothing to do. Just the custom of the land. We need to have a public ceremony so they won't be saying, we seen a man running off with your daughter, Rachel.
Right.
All of the people know it was a public ceremony. They like, no, they had a marriage.
Right, because everybody's seen them.
Right. Where you at on that?
That makes sense. We done with that. Right?
You can hold that. Let's just hit a little bit of you got the book of Jasher.
I got Jasher.
Chapter 49, verse 37. And this is another, what we're going to go into now is just another wedding in a strange language. And this Joseph in Egypt. And we'll see that what the deal was with that marriage and the Most High blessed it.
Right. So you said chapter 49?
Verse 37, yes.
Book of Jasher. This is the book of Jasher, y'all. Y'all see where it's mentioned at in Joshua 10:13, 2 Samuel 1 and 18,
yes,
and 2 Timothy 3 and 8. We in chapter 49.
Yes, sir.
Hey, you need mine?
No, I'm good.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Chapter 49, verse 37. It says, and the damsel was very comely, a virgin.
You can back it up one then if you need to. Is that about...
I'm 35.
Okay.
Verse 35. And Joseph took all these and placed them in his treasury. And all the officers and nobles belonging to the king exalted Joseph. And they gave him many gifts, seeing that the king have chosen him to be his second. And the king sent on to Papiria, and the son of Amram, priest of On. And he took the young daughter of Oznath, and gave her unto Joseph.
And did what to her?
And gave her unto Joseph for a wife.
Right.
And the damsel was very comely, a virgin.
A what?
A virgin. One whom man had not known.
Right.
And Joseph took her for a wife. And the king said unto Joseph, I am Pharaoh, and besides thee none shall dare to lift up his hand or his foot to regulate my people throughout the land of Egypt.
So we see right here Pharaoh gave his daughter to Joseph in a strange land, and actually he's marrying outside of the covenant. Now if this is not legal, and see this before Mount Sinai, if this is not legal, then we need to see what Joseph was punished for this. But we see actually the opposite, because when Jacob came, he asked, who are these two sons? And they blessed him.
Right.
So we just wanted to show another one outside of Jerusalem. And then the kicker is let's hit Jeremiah 49.
Jeremiah 49.
Yes, sir. Make sure that's right.
Remember this lesson called One Flesh.
Yeah.
We're going over the laws over it.
Make sure that's right. Jeremiah 49 says, take ye wives when you go to Babylon. 49.
Jeremiah 49. Prophecy. Amorites.
But I made something.
Baskets.
I'll tell you, I'll find that while we're looking for that. Let's get right into the show.
Concerning Babylon?
Yeah.
That's for
I'm
chapter
saying when
50.
build ye houses. No, this is in 49. I want that. I'll come back to that.
Okay.
Go right to this Tobit chapter 7, and we're gonna see Tobit is in the land of Nineveh.
Tobit. We in the Apocrypha, y'all. Book of Tobit, chapter 7. You want to start at 1?
No, start about, back it up to about 12. What is it saying?
12. It says, and Raguel said, then take her from henceforth according to the manner, for thou art her cousin, and she is thine. And the merciful God give you good success in all things.
Right.
Then he called his daughter Sarah, and she came unto her father, and he took her by the hand and gave her to be wife to Tobias. Saying,
what did the father doing with his daughter?
Took her by the hand and gave her to be wife to Tobias, saying, behold, take her after the law of Moses.
Take her after the law of what?
Law of Moses.
And this in a what land?
Yeah. This is in a foreign land. And lead her away to the father. And he blessed them. And he called Edna his wife, and took paper. What did he do?
And
took paper and did write an instrument of covenants.
Right.
And sealed it. You see a certificate.
See, there's
right
the marriage vows right
there.
there. In a strange land.
Yeah. Then they began to eat. And after Regal called on his wife Edna and said unto her, sister, prepare another chamber and bring her into thither. Which when she had done as he had bidden her, she brought her thither, and she wept, and she received the tears of her daughter, and said unto her, be of good comfort, my daughter, that the Lord of heaven and earth give thee joy for this thy sorrow. Be of good comfort, my daughter.
See, and what happened is they wrote the covenant out, or the marriage certificate is public again.
Right.
And then when you get into it, you'll see the chapter 8, you'll see the vows that they made. Go to 8 and start at verse 4. That's the ceremony, that's the consummation of the wedding there.
Tobit.
And these are vows between each other. Yeah.
Tobit chapter 8 verse 4. And after that they were both shut in together. Tobias rose out of the bed and said, sister, arise and let us pray.
And let us do what?
And let us pray.
Let us become one flesh spiritually. Go ahead.
That God would give pity on us. Then began Tobias to say, blessed art thou, O God, our fathers, and blessed is thy holy and glorious name forever. Let the heavens bless thee and all thy creatures. Thou madest Adam and gavest him Eve, his wife.
See how they go back to the beginning?
Everybody go back to that garden.
Go ahead, bro.
And stay. Of them came mankind. Thou have said, it is not good that a man should be alone. Let us make unto him an aid like unto himself. And now, O Lord, I take not this my sister for lust.
For what?
For lust.
Right.
But uprightly. Therefore, mercifully ordain that we may become aged together.
See, that we may become aged together.
I like that.
Ordain this.
Yeah.
I'm not taking her for lust. No, they're saying I ain't just picked her up at the club and it's a one night stand. I want to grow old with this woman. And that means we're going to get to a point where it ain't going to be no more intercourse.
Right. Yeah. Maybe aged together. Notice that they prayed and making this covenant before the Lord.
Absolutely. So that tells you that you don't have to have a preacher do nothing. I mean, all they therefore is they are representative of the state.
Right.
I just need to stand right here and watch this, and then I could sign off on it as a witness that I witnessed y'all before all these people.
Right.
It's when you give them control because we don't know the law.
Right.
But it don't matter that it's in another country.
Right.
Because they gonna recognize it.
And then people he hollering at the true lawgiver.
Yeah.
They rose up out of the bed. He like, come on, woman, let's pray to the Lord. So they went to the law. They went to the real law.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Let's do a vow, me and you. We know what happened to your parents, but we need to become one flesh now before I put the covenant in you.
Most definitely.
To seal this covenant. But what I was looking for was Jeremiah 29:4.
Jeremiah 29:4.
Yeah. And then we just got a couple more, bro. We get out of here.
All right. It's a good lesson, though.
Yes, sir. And good for understanding. And y'all, like I say, we ain't here to dictate nothing to anybody. We just saying if you want to be a part of this, you got to play by the rules.
Got to. Well, Melchizedek come laws. That's
Yeah.
what it is.
Conscious laws.
Conscious law. Book of Jeremiah, chapter 29. Where you want to start at?
Start at verse 4.
Verse 4. Verse 4. Thus said the Lord of hosts, the God of Israel, unto all that are carried away captive, whom I have caused to be carried away from Jerusalem to Babylon.
Right.
Build ye houses.
Do what?
Build ye houses,
Uh-huh.
and dwell in them, and plant gardens, and eat the fruit of them. Take ye wives.
Where you taking these wives at?
Take ye wives,
Uh-huh.
and beget sons and daughters, and take wives for your sons, and give your daughters to husbands, that they may bear sons and daughters, that ye may be increased there, and not diminished.
So it's telling you marriage has to continue even in captivity.
No matter where you at.
Where you at. You got to take wives. If the customer there say, look, we have to have a census of it.
Right.
Look, it was a census when Christ, that's what they went up to Jerusalem for.
Right.
When he was 12, they had to be counted in the census.
Right. Makes sense.
So these type of things is all just fear tactics of, I'm just not ready to commit.
Man.
You be better off just saying
Yeah,
that.
just keeping it real
Man,
with yourself.
I just like my freedom, man.
Right. Come on.
But, and basically what you're saying, free from being bound to a marriage, to a vow that's everlasting. That's all you saying. And that's become a smooth saying or the go-to thing.
Right.
You like your freedom?
Right.
See, that ain't free
Right,
according to this
right.
because you take chances when you move from a quiver to quiver and put your bow in there.
Right.
You may find yourself in Leviticus 15 that where you have a running issue.
Right. And look, I done heard Hebrews say that before. I can't be married to a woman in captivity. I can't keep the feast days in captivity.
Man, see, all of that is just talk that don't know
Right.
what these scriptures is talking about because they fear something that going to take place and what you're hoping come to pass. You want this heathen's kingdom to end and you think you're going to do what you doing now?
Right. Right. Don't make sense.
That's why Isaiah 4 that we're going to hit too clears it up. It's going to be in that day. Okay, let's just get right to a couple divorces and then we'll understand what the Messiah say the only way you can really break loose from a woman and it's to save peace and nobody get killed. Okay. Because if you think we saying your woman can go out and cheat on you and you have to stay with her, men can't handle that.
Nah.
Some men's psyche ain't gonna handle that. Some women's psyche ain't gonna handle that. Because as soon as the argument start, what's gonna come up first?
That.
Yeah, you and that.
Yep.
Yeah, you wasn't saying nothing then when you was smiling, sitting in there, rap with your arms around. Now here we is right back at it again.
Yep. Makes sense. Yeah. So what we going?
So let's hit Jeremiah 3 and 8.
Book of Jeremiah, chapter 3, verse 8. And I saw when for all these causes were by backsliding Israel.
Backsliding who?
Israel. Committed adultery.
What they do?
Committed adultery. I had put her away.
What'd he do?
Put her away.
Right.
And given her a bill of divorce.
So we see here that the Most High divorced Israel.
Yeah.
So when you read in the scriptures say to death do you part, Israel was still alive.
Yeah, most definitely.
Go ahead. But because of our wickedness for fornication, and the Messiah ain't saying nothing different than it's the law in Jeremiah saying. Go ahead.
So in that sense, in the spiritual sense, we became dead at that point.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We sinning. It says, and I saw, well, for all the causes whereby backsliding Israel committed adultery, I had put her away and given her a bill of divorce. Yet her treacherous sister Judah feared not, but went and played the harlot also.
And seeing what we're talking about is playing the harlot. Right. Seeing when we talked about earlier, the only time you see a harlot punished is if she was married.
Right.
Now, if y'all find another scripture out there to show harlots are being punished who was not married. Right. Because we see in Solomon's kingdom when he had to split the baby, that was two harlots fighting over one baby who was left alive. Right. Solomon didn't ask who the daddy was. Right. He was taking control of that situation. And this was in his kingdom of peace that one was out there. I mean, Jephthah, Judges 19. was a warrior for Israel, but it starts off, he was born to a harlot.
Right, born to a harlot.
But Proverbs 7, when it talks about a harlot, it says, words out of her mouth, my husband is going on a long journey.
Right.
So she's playing the harlot married.
Right.
She done decked her bed out.
Right.
Just like it is. The bed got to be perfumed up and good.
That's sin.
And that's what you there for.
Yeah. Now that's sin. And then notice he said he put Israel away.
Yeah.
Gave her a bill of divorce. Next thing you know, backsliding Judah playing the harlot. So he put one wife away. And she done seen this go down, and she does the same thing. Now she's practicing this wickedness.
See, and that was on the spiritual level, but how did this manifest in the physical? Because Judah did the same thing when Tamar played the harlot, and he went in unto her.
Yep.
But she was more righteous than he, because he didn't follow the law about who was supposed to be her next husband. So he went into his son's daughter. Which he couldn't touch her no more after that. And he said, she's been more righteous than me. Go ahead, bro.
All these laws of marriages is being broken.
Hey.
Judah feared not, but went and played the harlot also. And it came to pass through the lightness of the whoredom that she defiled the land.
What she do?
Defiled the land. And committed adultery with the stones and with the stocks. And yet, for all this, her treacherous sister Judah have not turned unto me with her whole heart.
With her what?
With her whole heart. But faintly said the Lord. And the Lord said unto me that the backsliding Israel have justified herself more than treacherous Judah.
Jump down to verse 14.
Verse 14. Turn, O backsliding children, saith the Lord. For I am married unto you.
What is he?
For I am married unto you. And I will take you one of a city and two of a family, and I will bring you to Zion.
So he's saying after the spot and his wrinkle is removed, we gonna get married again, because now we into Jeremiah 31:31, where I'll make a new covenant, marriage covenant with the house of Judah and with the house of Israel. So you can hold there, and let's just we're gonna kind of not speed read through that, but just a couple quick ones in Deuteronomy 24:21.
You said Deuteronomy 24.
Yeah, we're gonna hit Matthew 19, and then we'll hit this Romans 7 and that 1 Corinthians, and we'll close out.
All right,
you know, and we'll have them get into a few other scriptures. That whole chapter, that Sirach 25. Matter of fact, while you're at there, hit Sirach 25 and 20. And this is for the women if you try to go man hunting. You know, and for a man, if you've been hunted by a woman and you decide to take the bait, so to speak.
Sirach 25 and 20. I'm gonna start at 19.
Uh-huh.
All wickedness is but.
Let me see that 26. Is it going? Yeah, skip right over to 20. Did you finish that where you needed to?
Let me start back at 22. Sirach chapter 25 verse 22. A woman, if she maintain her husband, is full of anger and impudence and much reproach. A wicked woman abideth the courage, maketh a heavy countenance and a wounded heart. A woman that will not comfort her husband in distress maketh weak hands and feeble knees. Of the woman came the beginning of sin. Through her we all die. Give the water no passage, neither a wicked woman liberty to gad abroad. If she go not as thou wouldest have her, cut her off from thy flesh.
Do what?
Cut her off from thy flesh and give her a bill of divorce.
See, it ain't so much as just cutting her off from the flesh. There's another part.
Right,
you have to give her a bill of divorce.
Yeah. And let her go.
And let her do what?
And let her go.
And you have to do that if she won't abide. All is going to be anger. Somebody going to get killed.
Right.
Hit a little bit of that 26, just a little bit of that chapter 26.
Most definitely.
Yeah.
Chapter 26, verse 1. Blessed, here go the flip side. Blessed is a man that hath a virtuous wife.
Right.
For the number of his days shall be doubled. A virtuous woman rejoiceth her husband, and she shall fulfill the years of his life.
What's she gonna do?
Fulfill the years of his life in peace. A good wife is a good portion, which shall be given in the portion of them that fear the Lord. Whether a man be rich or poor, if he have a good heart toward the Lord, he shall at all times rejoice with a cheerful countenance. There be three things that my heart feareth, and for the fourth I was so afraid: a slandering of a city, the gathering together of an unruly multitude, and a false accusation. All these are worse than death, but a grief of heart and sorrow is a woman that is jealous over another woman.
See, and that's what you're going to have if you crammed all up in the same house.
They said that was worse than everything he just mentioned.
Right.
It says, in a scourge of the tongue, which communicateth with all. So it's talking about a woman that's just a jealous woman that's railing against you. And an evil wife is a yoke shaken to and fro. He that have hold of her is though he had held a scorpion. A drunken woman and a gather abroad causes great anger, and she will not cover her own shame.
See, and that's you can see a man, he could be drunk, fall down in the street with a big pee stain on his pants. Tomorrow he could have on a suit and he cool, but a drunken woman ain't gonna be forgotten.
Yeah, ain't gonna be forgotten.
She got a pee stain in front of her skirt.
Yeah, oh man.
And a bottle in her hand and talking noise.
Yeah.
You want some of this? Right. You want some of this? Who wants some of that?
Nobody.
Okay.
Verse
Go
9.
ahead.
The whoredom of a woman may be known in her haughty look and eyelids. If thy daughter be shameless, keep her straightly, lest she abuse herself through over much liberty, much over an impudent eye, and marvel not if she trespass against thee. She will open her mouth as a thirsty traveler when he had found a fountain, and drink of every water near her. By every hedge will she sit down and open her quiver against every arrow.
You see what that is?
She's open out here. The grace of a wife delighteth her husband.
The grace of a what?
A wife delighteth her husband, and her discretion will fatten his bones. A silent and loving woman is a gift of the Lord, and there is nothing so much worth a mind well instructed.
Why well instructed? Like teach him according to knowledge.
Yeah.
Well instruct the mind first.
Right. Letting you know that you ain't supposed to be keeping these scriptures away from them.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? A shamefaced and faithful woman is a double grace, and her countenant mind cannot be valued. As the sun when it arises in a high heaven, so is the beauty of a good wife and the ordering of her house.
You can hold right there. Let's hit a little bit of this Deuteronomy 24. We got two more and we'll close out, bro. And this is just some laws from the first 5 books, 24 and 1. And what we're doing over here is just going over the ways of what happens and causes divorce.
Right.
You know, or the breaking of one flesh. We're not promoting it under no circumstances, but sometimes things happen, you know, and you have to part ways.
Yeah, most definitely. Like you was saying, that graveyard love.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Me personally, I can't stick around.
No.
You know what I'm saying? But
and then how you gonna hold your hand up like a champion?
Yeah.
I knocked her teeth out.
Right. Don't even make sense.
She won't say that no more.
Right.
Hell, she should have known I graduated from Ike Turner University.
Right. Right. When it gets to the point where you can't sleep safe at night.
No.
Hey, come on, man.
Right.
You said Deuteronomy.
Now can't nobody better not be caught cooking no grits.
Right.
24 and 1, Deuteronomy.
24 and 1.
Yeah, we're gonna read down about verse 4.
When a man have taken a wife and married her.
And did what?
And married her. And it come to pass that she find no favor in his eyes, because he had found some uncleanliness in her. Then let him write her a bill of divorcement and give it to her hand and send her out of his house.
See, so there's a instruction manual when he find no cleanliness in her or some uncleanliness in her. He found out something after they got married. What?
Right.
He still have to follow protocol.
Yeah.
He just can't walk away.
No.
Go ahead.
The bill got to still be out there. And when she is departed out of his house, she may go and be another man's wife.
So right here, is he dead?
No.
See, this is the law.
Yeah.
But when it says if he be dead, she's not bound by the law anymore. But if the divorce, she's not bound anymore because we see this releasing her.
That's the dead part, the certificate of the divorcement.
Yeah.
Makes sense. And if the latter husband hate her,
the second husband,
and write her a bill of divorcement and give it it in her hand, and sendeth her out of his house, or if the latter husband die, which took her to be his wife, her former husband which sent her away may not take her again to be his wife. After that she is defiled, for that is an abomination before the Lord, and thou shalt not cause the land to sin, which the Lord God giveth thee for an inheritance.
See, so we see here again that it lays down instruction. Yeah. This didn't happen with David. Yeah. He didn't divorce the woman.
Right.
His wife was took.
Right.
And he went and got.
He went and got what was his.
What was his? He went after his.
Right.
Okay, go ahead and read down a little bit more of this.
Yeah. Verse 5. And when a man have taken a new wife.
What?
A new wife. He shall not go out to war, neither shall he be charged with any business, but he shall be free at home 1 year, and shall cheer up his wife with which he have taken.
See, his whole time was you can't be concerned with, you got to cheer her up.
Yeah. Yeah.
You got to get her on one page.
Yeah. Now it's time to bring her up.
You get time off for this.
Yeah.
So we see the blessings of a marriage, but we only want the one part of it.
Right, most definitely.
And that's the quick part. Is it anything that you can hold? Let me see.
Good right there.
Okay, yeah, we can hold that. Let's hit this Matthew 19, start about verse 9. We'll hit Romans 7 and 1 Corinthians 6, and we'll call it a day. And y'all, once again, not a Negro Dr. Phil counseling session, but just instructions of the Lord concerning how to become one flesh with the opposite sex.
Right.
Ain't nothing in here about no same sex or with no animals.
No, not at all. And as Elder Dan said, we ain't no cake niggas. We reading laws and statutes and commandments. This is what it is.
Right.
Yeah. You said Matthew 19, where you started, Elder?
Yeah, start about 9, verse 9.
Matthew 19, verse 9.
Okay.
And I say unto you, whosoever shall put away his wife, except it be for fornication.
Except it be for what?
Fornication.
See, so we hear them following the law because we just started on that Deuteronomy 24 and 1.
Right.
It's some uncleanliness in there. First, spiritual. Look, it ain't got to be she cheated on you with a physical man.
Right.
She could be saying, look, I think I want to be a witch.
Right. Yeah.
Bring tarot cards in the house.
Right.
You hear chanting like Tina Turner when she left Ike.
Right. That's spiritual adultery.
You hear that, you be like, hey, wait a minute here. You bringing demons and the worship of another god up in there?
You sleeping with the devil.
You sleeping with the devil.
Eating from the forbidden fruit.
Yeah. Go ahead, bro.
And she shall marry another, committeth adultery. And whosoever marrieth her which is put away doeth commit adultery.
So we're seeing right here that if they leave, when you separate, these are the only times that when they questioning him, where you at verse? Yeah, I want you to read down a little bit more.
Verse 10. His disciples say unto him, if the case of the man be so with his wife, it is not good to marry.
So they question, they like, look, if it come down to all of this, is it a good thing to marry?
Right.
Look, if we gonna have a problem like this is what we saying. If you got 3 women and all of them had Babylonian mindsets,
right. You shooting the miss.
Something is wrong with your observing process or your courting process or your working process, and to see if she's the virtuous woman that you went to find. Is she the diamond in the rough?
Right.
Is she Proverbs 18:22? The man that findeth a wife is a good thing. Right. If you keep finding cubic zirconians, right. You got to look in the mirror. Now
we back at what Paul was saying. Look, it is good. Is it good for a man not to touch a woman? He said, I'd rather you be as an eye. For reasons like that.
And let every man have his gift. I'm not going to tell you that if you scratching and ready to get busy. Go ahead.
Verse 11. But he said unto them, all men cannot receive this saying, save thee to whom it is given.
Right. Go ahead.
There are some eunuchs which were so born from their mother's womb.
Meaning they were wounded in the stone. Yeah. See, and like a high priest couldn't be a priest under the order of Aaron, and he was wounded in the stone.
Right.
That start off in Deuteronomy 23.
Right.
No high priest of Aaron wounded in the stone. Right. But under Melchizedek, because it's a birth defect.
Right.
Go ahead, bro.
And there are some eunuchs which were made eunuchs of men. And there be eunuchs which have made themselves eunuchs for the kingdom of heaven's sake. Mm-hmm. He that is able to receive it, let him receive.
See, so right here is talking about if you don't want a wife, you making yourself a eunuch for the kingdom. Man, I don't need no woman, man. Look, and most people look at you like, man, why I want to get into what you're doing? You over here every week drinking, talking about how Bertha treating you.
Right.
No, partner, I'll pass on that.
No,
and you, oh, nigga, you must be a fag. No, why I got to be a fag? Because I don't want to go through the torment you sitting over here drinking all my whiskey up, crying.
Right. And I'm not a lustful nigga. I'm just not hopping on everything that look good. We just read, don't get at a woman for her beauty. Don't desire her for her beauty. You know what I'm saying? That was the whole point of courting in the first place. Let's get to know each other.
Right.
Why we just hopping in the sheets and then 5 days later, I'm like, you know what I'm saying? I'm fulfilled after that. I'm on to the next one.
What I'm doing, scratch your belt, notch another notch in it.
Right.
Go ahead, let's hit these last two, bruh. And we'll. It's a lot of scriptures, y'all. This is a really heavy subject. Romans 7:1. Then we hit that 1 Corinthians 6:6, and we'll close out. Did I hit that 19 where it said if you think to lust on a woman?
Nah, you spoke on it several times.
Okay.
You spoke
No
on
problem about it. Okay. Romans 7:1.
Romans 7:1. Romans chapter 7, verse 1. Know ye not, brethren, for I speak unto them that know the law.
That know the what?
That know the law. How that the law have dominion over a man as long as he liveth.
Question mark. Go ahead.
For the woman which have a husband is bound by the law to her husband, so long as he liveth.
Right.
But if the husband be dead, she is loose from the law of her husband.
See, she loose even if he's not pleased to dwell with her. Let him depart.
Right.
So he's saying the same language.
Right.
It's the same language, bro.
Most definitely.
She's loose from the law. If they're teaching a man have to be dead, then how can the laws have been done away with?
Right.
Or the law's not done away for a woman that's married?
Don't make no sense.
See, it don't make no sense.
Right.
Go ahead.
And let you know that bill of divorce too also represents that death.
Right.
The marriage is dead at that point. You didn't gave a certificate of death or of divorce. It says, verse 3. So then, if while her husband liveth, she be married to another man, she shall be called an adulteress. But if her husband be dead, she is free from the law, so that she is no adulteress, though she be married to another man.
And the only way she can be free from adultery is if she married another man is he give her a bill of divorcement and kill that marriage.
Right.
That marriage is dead. He's dead to her because they're no longer one flesh. They've been cut apart.
Right.
So you can hold that. Let's hit that 1 Corinthians 6:16, and this is the last one, y'all. We put out there, and this is just concerning those that read this and say, see, this is why you can't have polygamy. It can't never be more than one, y'all. We are not promoting anything in the house like that can't be handled according to the law. What we are promoting is righteousness of one flesh, and that only.
Most definitely.
Go ahead, bro.
1 Corinthians 6:16.
Yeah.
I'm gonna start at 15.
Okay.
Know ye not that your bodies are the members of Christ?
Right.
Shall I then take the members of Christ and make them the members of an harlot? God forbid.
So they'll take that and say, if you got another woman, that's harlotry because y'all can't be married. That's not what it's saying. It's saying one flesh that one party go and sleep with somebody else that the party don't know about, and there hasn't been no marriage arrangement. Right. So you're having sex with a woman that don't have a covering. She has several coverings.
Right. Exactly.
She your side piece. But if you happen to go over there and there's some shoes so big over there under the bed, and you can put your feet in them shoes with your shoes on, it's some problem.
Yeah. But you ain't took her.
But you ain't brought her to wife that were. And if you do go join to that, the reason it's saying you're bringing a harlot to it is because she may have another man.
Right.
So now you're bringing a threesome into your relationship. You bring a woman that's got another man that's hitting her, and you into that too.
Becoming one with a harlot.
Didn't have nothing to do with talking about you couldn't have multiple wives. Right. It's saying a woman without a covering protection that you'll bring disease back to the house.
Most definitely.
And what happens if she get pregnant?
Oh man, who did
What
that?
you got to tell your woman? She saying it's mine. Wait a minute, she saying it's yours. What, you raw dogging?
And you laying with somebody you don't even know like that? Oh, you raw dogging.
Hell, I heard she was messing with Earl at the tire shop.
Man, I'm telling you. Woman.
And you thinking, damn, I did see a tire fixing kid over there. Shh. It's crazy, man. But that's what all y'all we wanted to hit, and we hope it was some understanding. If y'all got any questions or concerns, y'all know how we do it. We don't lock the board down for no questions and answers. Hey, if y'all heard we said anything wrong, y'all reproof us and let us know.
Right.
You know, hit this last one, Isaiah 4th chapter. Because we don't want to lose that and see what marriage will be like for those who are left alive in Israel. I'm talking about to repopulate Israel.
Right.
So there's no misunderstanding.
Book of Isaiah chapter 4. Verse 1.
And let it be understood, polygamy never started with Adam. Polygamy started with Cain's line.
Well, most definitely.
His grandson Lamech had 2 wives. That's where it started, and we was looking at that.
Yeah.
Just like other nations had king. We wanted that. We had the king of the world.
Yeah.
Go ahead, bro.
Yeah. Book of Isaiah chapter 4 verse 1. And in that day, 7 women shall take hold of one man.
See, in that day. See, that's the day of the Lord where the spot and the wrinkles are gone.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
It's saying, we will eat our own bread and wear our own apparel. Only let us be called by thy name to take away our reproach.
See, so now they want to be subject to a husband.
Yeah.
See, this ain't they just chasing after men.
No.
They want your name to take away the reproach.
They want that banner now.
Yeah.
To be up under that
yeah,
banner.
because see, it's only wife who's got a covering. She's called wife. If she's having sex and don't have a covering, it's harlot.
Yeah.
It's harsh, but it is what it is.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Y'all read some Judges 14:2, and you see even Samson had a marriage ceremony with a harlot. Yeah. He said, "Get me that harlot." And it says she had other men. He said, "I like her. I want to marry her."
Right. Then you got Hosea marrying a harlot.
Yeah, 4 and 14. But the reason is he's saying it's because of how you men are doing.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna punish them and y'all doing the same thing.
Yeah.
And also, for y'all to understand a righteous man, where you at on that? You finished that?
Yeah, that's done.
Hit that Job 31, just a couple verses, and we're gonna hit it. This is Job wrapping it up, and it's talking about the mindset and the consciousness of a man when he's thinking about a maid. Job put it on the line, and if a lot of us took this vow, if you can't handle this, don't take this vow.
Job 31.
This is a man that's comfortable in himself. That where he understood, naked I came, naked I'll leave. Job 31.
Job 31 and
1.
Job 31 and 1. And I made a covenant with my eyes.
What'd he do?
And I made a covenant with my eyes. Why then should I think upon a maid?
You see what he's saying with his eyes? I made a deal with my eyes, and these eyes ain't gonna lust. I ain't gonna look at a woman. Every woman walk past, my eyes go from my face straight to her rear end.
Right.
He said, I'd have made a covenant with mine. Go ahead.
For what portion of God is there from above? And what inheritance of the Almighty from on high? Is it not destruction to the wicked, and to a strange punishment to the workers of iniquity? Doeth not he see my ways, and count all my steps? If I walk with vanity, or if my foot have haste to deceit, let me be weighed in an even balance, that God may know my integrity.
Right.
If my steps have turned out of the way, and my heart walk after thine eyes, and if any blot have cleaved unto my hands, then let me sow, and let another eat. Yeah, let my offspring be rooted out.
You see the choices he making for his household and about women and different things. Go ahead, read a little bit more of that.
Verse 8. Then let me sow, and let another eat, and let my offspring be blotted out. If my heart have been deceived by a woman, or if I have laid wait at my neighbor's door, then let my wife grind unto another, and let others bow down upon her.
See, that's what he's saying. If I do it, then let it be done to me.
Eye for an eye.
Now, how many men will make that statement right off?
Like a split of 1%. Hey, he came out the door with it.
Out the door. So y'all read all of the rest of that, y'all, all the way down to verse. Let me see.
All right.
Go to verse 33. Just skip down to verse 33.
Verse 33.
Y'all get into all of this whole 31 chapter, but he's getting right back into the garden. Yep. See, everything is going back to the beginning. Yep. Go ahead, bro.
If I covered my transgressions as Adam by hiding my iniquity in my bosom, did I fear a great multitude, or did I contempt of families terrify me, that I kept silent and went not out of the door?
So he's saying, if I cover my transgressions, covering sin up, as Adam did, let these things happen to me. See, y'all, that's a self-checking. If my eyes look at another woman, and I look at her, then let somebody else look at my woman like that. Right. And we'll have a problem with that. You can, boy, look at the cakes on that. As soon as you see somebody, nigga, you better put your eyes back in your head.
That'll keep you spiritually in check.
It'll keep you in check. It's a check measure if you make a vow, but don't make a vow you can't keep.
Most definitely.
So with that, bruh, y'all, we hope y'all understood and enjoyed the lesson. You know, any questions or concerns, holler back at us. Y'all know how we get down.
Comment board open.
Yes, sir.
One flesh. We went over the laws and stipulations of marriage. And marriage is not only physical. That's what consecrate the spiritual.
Yes, sir.
Marriage. So with all your getting and get understanding.
One love, y'all, family. Keep the commandments. Shalom.
All praises. Shalom.